All right, welcome back to the Liberal Dan Radio live stream of the Republican National Convention. This is night 2. We're expecting to be hearing from several of the Trumps today, including we're not getting a very good connection with Mr. John Voight today.
Liberty. Pursuit of happiness.
Some technical issues on their part, I believe. As they're going through these technical difficulties, I'll go ahead and do the sharing of everything to social media, as I do.
Opportunity. America has strived since its founding. Perfect. Achievements and establishing a quality of life second to none, providing jobs, creating futures, fulfilling dreams.
Dreams of who?
Opportunity preserves individual freedom. It leads to exceptionalism. It's a bright, shining light, an example for all to see. Tonight, we explore together America, land of opportunity.
From Washington, D.C., welcome to the 2020 Republican National Convention.
Oh boy.
Tonight, celebrating America as the land of opportunity.
For a certain few people, at least. Now look, I don't necessarily begrudge the use of the White House for political purposes. The office of the White House, or the office of the president, is political in and of itself.
You to join your faith with mine, and let's pray in agreement. Lord, we come before you to ask for your spirit of peace to come over hurting communities in Wisconsin tonight. We pray for healing and comfort to Jacob and his family. We pray for your protection over those who put their lives in harm's way to bring safety and security to our streets. We pray that the truth and justice will be at the heart of all decisions that are made by our leaders, and that we as people will seek reconciliation with you as we do the same with each other. Thank you, Lord, for your goodness over our lives, for your blessing over our nation, for your guiding hand over every person that calls the United States of America their home. Lord, we thank you for all that have gone before us and have sowed seeds of sacrifice for our freedom, for our prosperity, and for our peace. That gave their lives so that we could live and achieve the American dream. Your word declares in 2 Corinthians, where the Spirit of the Lord is.
Is anybody else having a problem with this live stream?
By the people for their God. Liberty, freedom, equality, what we want in our country. Lord, we invite you into our homes, into our lives. Give us revelation that will overthrow any enemies that stand against us so that we will be victorious in this next season. We need you. Let your kingdom come. Let your be done on earth as it is in heaven. Surrender to your plans and purpose for our lives. We ask, bring heaven down to earth over every person here and all those watching today. As we move into this next chapter in our journey to greatness, we ask for your presence to be with us. Lead us, Lord. Give strategies from heaven, I decree the words of Isaiah 11:2 over our president, vice president, and all government authorities from every state and nation. May the Spirit of the Lord rest on him, the Spirit of wisdom and understanding, the Spirit of counsel and might, the Spirit of knowledge and the fear of the Lord. I release a blessing over every person and every home. Lord, release health, healing, peace, strength, and courage. Let us stand together in unity as we embrace another chapter on our journey to greatness. I decree and declare, America, the best is yet to come. And I ask all this in the name of Jesus. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yate, I'm Myron Lizer, the Vice President of the Navajo Nation. I give this address from the majestic rock spires of Shipra, Sebetai, or Rock with Wings as known by our Dene people. It is here as well that many of our ancestral leaders sought to govern and lead a nation within a nation. They sought to lead their people into the promises of a better way of life for their children. It is also where they have not been as successful as the
So
rest
Aquatic,
of America.
Aquatic is joining us in the chat again. Welcome back. Are you watching it on another stream or on the Republican stream and not seeing the delayed speech or the fractured speech, I guess?
The American dream. We, for years, fought congressional battles
that I'm
with
kind of
past
seeing.
congressmen and senators that
Is
were
my
part of a
voice
broken
coming
system
through
that
problematic,
was.
or is it just
That is,
the
until
Republican
President Trump took
convention
office.
stuff coming in
President Trump
problematic? I
delivered
guess
the
that's
largest
because I'm not seeing any
financial
drop
funding
frames
package
going
ever
out,
to Indian
so it looks
country.
like I'm just
The
getting
$8 billion
problems coming in.
Funding to Indian country was a great start in alleviating the devastating effects that the COVID-19 pandemic has inflicted on our Indian tribes. The Navajo Nation once led the nation in per capita positive cases because of the health disparities that previous administrations failed to improve. Whenever we meet with President Trump, he has always made it a
Wait.
priority to build a relationship with
So,
our federal family.
The
Recently, President Trump signed the first ever
the health inequities of previous
proclamation
administrations,
officially
this has been the
recognizing
current
missing and
administration since
murdered American
2017,
Indians and Alaska
January.
Natives. He established a task force called Operation
So
Lady Justice
January
to address the
2017.
problem.
So for
President also
2.5 years now,
$273
the
million
Trump
to improve public
administration
safety and support victims of crime in the Native American
was in
community.
charge of the health
As a result,
issues and
the
has
cold
been
case
constantly trying to
office was
fight the
recently
Affordable
opened
Care
on the
Act,
Gila River
but yet
Indian
it's other administrations that are the problem why the
President has
Navajo
reactivated the
Nation
White House Council on
was
Native
not
American
able to
Affairs
get
to promote economic
the
development and
health care
rural
that they needed during the
prosperity in
COVID-19
Indian
crisis? No. It's
President Trump
this
strengthened the Supreme
lack
Court
of
by
a good
nominating
response
strong
by the Trump
conservative judges
administration.
like Neil Gorsuch, who
Ugh.
supports Native American rights. Thank you for the opportunity to be here
Craziness.
tonight. I'm excited to endorse President Trump's re-election. And Mr. President, we look forward to hosting you very soon. Come visit our land.
It's weird. I'm linked. I went to
Thank you very
the
much.
I had always had this unshakable sense
Open
that
in
I
YouTube.
know that I know that
For some
life
reason, it
has to
wasn't
be
showing
more
up
than
on
what
my
it was
phone
on the
that it was live, that it was just in the waiting portion, although you seem to have found the live fine, so that's good.
And that type of behavior had led me into more arrest, getting in trouble until the age of 30.
Let's see if somebody else is having a
I was
better...
arrested for a string of bank robberies. And based off of my criminal history, there is a potential that a federal judge can sentence me up to 23 years in a maximum security United States federal penitentiary. In that moment, I played a let's make a deal with God. And I asked God to climb into the robe of judge. Whether it's 10 years or 50 years, I'm going to invest the rest of my life serving you. And I stood before the federal judge. Judge Mahan took his glasses off, leaned back, and said, I don't know why I'm going to do this. But he said, I'm not going to give you what you deserve. Then he gave me a lesser sentence into my spirit. And as I laid on that son, I was shackled by my hands and my feet. I heard God into my spirit. My son, I honored
All right,
what you
we're
asked
gonna
me to do.
hide this a second and see if I can find a better
that you made to me.
Better link. So hold on a second.
And every
Let's escape out of that. Let's bring this down here. It's the same feed, but let's just see if just bringing this open is better.
honored what you asked me to do. You said never forget the promise
No.
that you made to me. And ever since that day, I got up off that floor and my life went in.
Let's see. Trying to... Bum. Let's see who else is doing it. I don't necessarily want to do it off of some other news station's feed, but to quote Trump, it is what it is.
Officers involved so that we can impact this on a larger scale. President Trump, he had made a bunch of promises. Let me just be transparent. When he first started talking about the things he was going to do, I'm sitting there going, wait a minute here. I mean, is he serious? Because everything that he was saying that he wanted to do was the stuff that needs to be done. And before he walked out that meeting that day, I promised I'll make it out there to, come speak at one of your graduations. I heard that they were phenomenal.
This
When he stood there
feed
in
seems
that
to be better,
graduation,
so
and
we'll
he
just do it off
went out of his way
of this.
to shake the hand of every one of those 29 graduates, set them on a whole nother vista of life because they had the office of the President of the United States. The promises that he made was promises that he kept.
2 years ago, I was honored to tell John Ponder's story of transformation in the Rose Garden on the National Day of Prayer. Today, I'm thrilled to welcome him back to the White House. John's life is a beautiful testament to the power of redemption. John grew up without his father. As he tells it, my mother was strong, but she wasn't able to keep us out of the gangs and off of the streets, and they were violent streets. At the age of 38, he was arrested for bank robbery. While John was in prison, he began reading the Bible and listening to Christian radio. One day he heard Reverend Billy Graham
What does that
on the
have to do
radio
with anything?
proclaim, Jesus wants to be Lord of your life. On that day, John dedicated his life to Christ. He spent the rest of his time in prison studying the Bible. When he was released, he heard a knock at his door.
I think it's
It was
quite
the
hypocritical
officer
for
who put him
Trump
in jail,
to
FBI
talking about
Special
people
Agent
devoting their
Richard
life to
Beasley,
Christ.
who
He has
said,
not.
"I want
He
you
is
to
not a
know
religious
that I've been
person
praying
whatsoever.
Now,
And
Richard and
I
John
will
are
be
best
sweeping the leg
friends,
tonight.
and we are grateful
Sweep
that
the leg.
Richard is here with us today. In the last 10 years since John was released, he has created one of the most successful reentry programs, Hope for Prisoners in Las Vegas. I was glad to speak there earlier this year. As John says, Hope for Prisoners is a movement that began as a dream in a tiny prison cell and is now making a difference in the lives of thousands, truly bringing hope that there is an opportunity and a community that is waiting and willing to offer them a second chance. John, we honor your devotion to showing returning citizens that they are not forgotten. We believe that each person is made by God for a purpose. I will continue to give all Americans, including former inmates, the best chance to build a new life and achieve their own American dream, and a great American dream it is. Now I'd like to ask John and Richard to say a few words.
Look
I
at
can't tell
that.
you
No
how
social
grateful I am
distancing.
to have the opportunity to speak.
Two all maskless,
so
not
long
within
ago,
six,
my life
not
was running
6
from
feet
the
away.
police, fearing the police and avoiding the police.
That is just.
Not because of anything that the police had done to
I would
me
hate to
personally,
see
but due to the animosity
John Ponder
I had allowed to grow inside of me, making me
get
believe
sick,
that they were my
and
enemies. But today,
because of
praise
the
God,
lack
I'm filled with
of
hope. A proud American
respecting
citizen
of this
who has
virus.
been given a second chance. My transformation began in a prison cell where I found myself a 3-time convicted felon facing yet another sentence. I gave my life to Jesus and made him a promise that I would spend the rest of my days helping others like me. My first help and support came from the unlikely.
I don't begrudge people of faith. If you want to have faith, that's fine. I just don't want people of faith
He is now a dear
stopping
friend and has been a source of encouragement
others
to
from
me throughout
practicing
my
either
entire
their
journey.
different faiths
I
or
am
their
grateful for the men and women of
or
the Las
just from
Vegas
having not
Metropolitan
faith. I
Police
don't think that you need
Department.
faith
They volunteer their
to
time
be
to
redeemed
people
in the
who
eyes of the
return into our
law.
local
You
community
shouldn't
after
you shouldn't be
incarceration.
promoting
These
faith
are
to
the
be
real
redeemed in the
life
eyes of the law.
heroes who put
That's
their lives on the
problematic to
line
me.
every day,
Especially coming
armed
from
with the
Trump,
promise
who,
that they made
you
to
know,
protect
has
and
affairs
to
with porn
serve
stars and pays them
made a
hush money.
tremendous impact in the lives of men and women reintegrating back into our society. My hope for America is that formerly incarcerated people will be afforded the opportunity to take advantage of the fact that we live in a nation of second chances. My hope for America is that law enforcement and people in the communities across our country can come together and realize that as Americans, we have more in common.
Law enforcement needs
than
to
we
not
have
shoot people in the
differences.
back 7
My hope
times.
for our great nation is to continue on this path we are on of being the most prosperous
I
country.
mean, clearly there's
in
a
the
problem
world.
with law enforcement.
I'm so proud of John with his life's turnaround.
Clearly,
and for all
there's a
the
problem
lives
with
that
law
he's helped
enforcement.
change.
All this stuff's going on, and you know that if something bad happens,
As a
that you're going to have a riot, and the police still think it's a good idea to shoot somebody 7 times in the back.
When I met John 15 years ago, he was angry, scared, frustrated, and anxious about his future. On the drive to prison, I stopped at a convenience store and bought John a coffee and a donut. After he was sentenced, John sent me a necktie and a note thanking me for treating him like a gentleman.
Jacob Blake,
5 years
I
later,
mean,
when he got
there's
out of
no
prison,
reason he
John
needed to
called
be
me
shot in the
and wanted
back
to meet for
once,
lunch.
let alone 7
He was
times.
a different man. He talked about starting a reentry program for men and women coming out of prison. Over time, John earned the trust and respect of the law enforcement community, many of whom volunteer in John's Hope for Prisoners program. I'm grateful for President Trump's commitment to criminal justice reform. On February 20th of this year, he was the guest speaker at the Hope for Prisoners graduation. He stayed much longer than scheduled to hand out diplomas to the 29 men and women who graduated that day. What a sight. The most important man in the free world shaking hands and pledging his administration's support to ex-offenders. Their families were there, the community was there. What a great second chance.
Meanwhile, Trump said
I
that,
also
you know, the
appreciate
people that
President
were
Trump's support for
protesting
law
that he wanted to get retribution against
I
them.
always
So
felt
the
like I
idea
had
that
strong
Trump is,
supporters
you know,
of the
great
FBI
on social,
but there's nothing
you know, there's a
worse
lot of
than
window
being
dressing,
second-guessed when you're doing your job.
a lot of token
In certain parts of our country right
things.
now, law enforcement
Forgive me
doesn't
for
feel
not
like they have
trusting
the support
Donald
from
Trump
their
on
local
social
leaders.
justice reform.
They're being painted with a broad brush, unfairly, with calls for defunding. But as President Trump knows, the overwhelming percentage of law enforcement officers are good, smart people who are doing their jobs very well.
There's the
And they
cops
can
that
change
do
the world
cops that do bad
working with
actions,
people like John.
and then you have the good cops, and then you have the
now I'd
cops
like to
that
invite John's
let
wife,
the
Jamie,
bad
to
actions
join
happen and
us
protect
as
them,
I
and those are also
grant
bad cops. That's the
John,
problem.
I'm sure you know this, a full pardon. So I don't know if you know that, Jamie. Come on over here. It's just an honor. And you have done incredible work.
Thank you, sir.
And all of Las Vegas and all of Nevada and all of every place in this country is very proud of you. The job you've done, bringing people back.
Were all of
I
his
was supposed to
charges
be there
federal
for 5 minutes.
charges?
I stayed for an hour and a half because it was so interesting to me. Congratulations to both.
Thank you, sir.
Richard, thank you very much for the job you do. Thank you. It's fantastic. Thank you.
And yes, there was an FBI charge. There was the FBI. That agent there, Richard Beasley, is the one who arrested him, and so that is a federal crime that he would have been arrested for. But I'm assuming that there's some state charges that the governor would have to pardon him for. And look, if he's turned his life around, is doing good things, as he said, look, probably the governor should pardon him as well. Oh, here's
Senator
Rand.
Rand Paul from Kentucky. Donald Trump and I met many years ago, before he was running for anything. When I first met him, I recall being struck by how down-to-earth he was. He seemed like just a normal guy. Okay, a normal guy with his own plane and helicopter, but who's counting? I was planning a medical mission trip to Guatemala to perform charity eye surgeries, and we needed money to fund the trip. Donald Trump offered to help and immediately came through for us.
Wasn't Rand Paul speaking out against the Trump administration, sending in the militarized federal law enforcement into Portland and other cities? Just want to make that clear. So I want to understand that Rand Paul was critical of Trump for that.
From a person's eyes and watching them as they see their loved ones again. Donald Trump helped me make that happen. A few years later, we were opponents, both running for president, and we all know how that turned out. But I'm proud of the job Donald Trump has done as president. I don't always agree with him, but our occasional policy differences are far outweighed by our significant agreements. But more important than simple agreement is accomplishment. President Trump gets things done. When some in Congress wanted a so-called revenue-neutral tax plan, Donald Trump and I worked together to make sure that it was a true tax cut. I brought President Trump an idea for better, less expensive health insurance called Association Health Plans. Donald Trump overturned years of red tape and bureaucrats, and he made it happen. While others talked about criminal justice reform, President Trump actually signed the First Step Act, the first real reform in a generation, and one that sought to undo the harm that others, like Joe Biden, have done. For those of us who lament the Biden crime bill that locked up a generation of young black men, remember that Biden bragged about a bill that still wreaks havoc among people of color. I'm supporting President Trump because he believes as I do.
Because I'm a hypocrite and a turncoat to what I initially believed in, and I'm no longer the libertarian guy that everyone once supported long ago.
I flew with him to Dover Air Force Base to honor 2 soldiers whose remains were coming home from Afghanistan. I'll never forget that evening. I can tell you the president not only felt the pain of these families, but that the president is committed to ending this war. President Trump is the first president in a generation to seek to end war rather than start one. He intends to end the war in Afghanistan. He is bringing our men
He intends
and
to. The
women
road to
home.
hell is paved with good
Madison
intentions.
once wrote, "No nation can preserve its freedom in the midst of continuous warfare." I'm proud to finally see a president who agrees with that. Compare President Trump with the disastrous record of Joe Biden, who has consistently called for more war. Joe Biden voted for the Iraq War, which President Trump has long called the worst geopolitical mistake of our generation. I fear Biden will choose war
Because the
again. He supported the
president
war in
gave
Serbia,
bad information,
Syria,
and we acted on
Libya.
bad information.
Joe Biden will continue to spill our blood and treasure. President Trump will bring our heroes home. If you hate war
When?
like I hate war,
4 years he's had to do it.
quit sending
When's he gonna do it?
$50 billion every year to Afghanistan.
I mean, look, Obama didn't do it either, and I'm critical of him for not doing it either. But they've been there for 12 years. Obama didn't do it in 8. Trump hasn't done it in 4. I have no reason to believe that Trump will do it in the next 4.
In supporting President Trump. To those of you who want lower taxes and better, less expensive health care, join me.
What better
in
health
supporting
care? What's the
President
GOP plan? That same garbage that would allow health insurance companies to sell from one state that has the least regulations, and that would push the high-risk people into state-run pools? No, that's ridiculous. That health plan, the plan that they have is ridiculous.
What I would call your everyday man, the forgotten man or woman, the people that wake up every morning, go to work, do their job, come home to their kids and families, and are faithful and consistent. The people that built America.
Not like
There are people in our
what's
country
his face from Liberty University,
that
right?
have been forgotten.
Because
That
besides the
are hard
cuckolding that
workers.
he did, that he
We do
participated
not
in,
hold
which fine, I don't
signs.
kick shame, just
We
don't
are
be a
not on
hypocrite
street
about it.
corners. We are waking up at the crack of
Did he also
dawn,
have that
working
potential?
and earning our living.
The costume that he was costumed with somebody with their pants unzipped,
Every single day, men and women from across this country.
which
are
again
affecting
is
people in positive
hypocritical.
ways.
Real people that work hard every day and they just want to earn a good living and enjoy life.
Yeah, like the people who were stuck at minimum wage because Republicans fight increasing the minimum wage from $7.50 an hour.
Being on the job site, interacting with people from all backgrounds.
I've never had someone care so much about making sure people have job security.
The president's job is to protect us, keep us safe, and help make our life better and the opportunity to pursue the American dream. That's what Donald Trump is doing.
As a cattle rancher and a farmer, I do feel that we are not forgotten with this administration.
He
we
put
have hope for
tariffs
preserving our
that
industry.
harmed your business, and only after him funneling some of those tariff money back to the farms could you all survive. His actions were harming you.
Ability to do what they innately know how to do best.
I mean, maybe that's their cake too. Who knows?
Trump is definitely pushing more for the steel mills, the fishermen, just us making.
Yeah, he's for the mills. He's not for the workers. He's for the mills. He wants to help the business owners, not the workers. The steel, the manufacturing plan that he was able to get done or whatever, when he was able to have more steel manufactured or exported, didn't pay. That deal didn't help them anymore.
Good evening. My name is Jason Joyce, and I'm an 8th-generation lobster fisherman from Swans Island, Maine.
Lobster.
I make my living from lobster fishing, oyster farming, and providing eco tours in the beautiful waters.
I love some lobster.
Park, where I have over 200 years of family history.
From the Northeast.
I have to confess, I didn't support Trump in 2016. Skeptical that he shared my conservative views, I expected him to flip-flop on his campaign promises. But he has followed through on his promises, including last week when he brokered a deal to end European Union tariffs of 8% on Maine live lobsters and up to 20% on Maine lobster products.
He helped me
for Maine's lobstermen and women.
On my one issue, so that's why I'm flipping away from him, back towards him, I guess.
How we provide for our families.
So had he not done that a week ago, you wouldn't have supported him today?
We practice conservation every day. If we didn't, we'd be putting ourselves out of business. 4 years ago, the Obama-Biden administration used the Antiquities Act to order thousands of square miles of ocean off limits to commercial fishermen. They did it to cater to environmental activists.
Oh no, gosh forbid we...
Obama's executive order offended us greatly. It circumvented the Fisheries Council's input.
We protect the environment to make sure that we don't overfish or harm, the environment that would then prevent you from fishing and earning a living.
If Trump is president, fishing families like mine will have a voice. But if Biden wins, he'll be controlled by the environmental extremists who want to circumvent long-standing rules and impose radical changes that hurt our coastal communities. I strongly support.
Are your coastal community? Was your job? Were you overfishing? Were you harming the coast in doing what you wanted to do, in making your living? Because you shouldn't be able to.
He keeps his word, like eliminating the European tariffs and moving the U.S. Embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem.
Oh, gee, what does that have to do with your lobster?
Voting for President Trump. Stand up for your country. Thank you.
Pandering to evangelicals has nothing to do with lobster. And he got nothing for doing that. He gave that away. That should have been a token of something for Israel gives something in the negotiations.
My name is Chris Peterson. My husband Gary, our family, and I milk 1,000 cows on a dairy farm in Grantsburg, Wisconsin, a small middle American town. Truth be told, until I married my cute farmer from Grantsburg a long time ago, I was a city slicker from Minneapolis, which is about 70 miles south of us. Donald Trump became president in the middle of the Great Depression for dairy farmers in Wisconsin. In 2016, prices were horrible, and longtime generational farms across the nation were going out of business. In 2017,
so he raised prices on cheese?
Barn, which served as our milking center, caught fire and burned to the ground. Our cows were spared, but because they needed to be milked 3 times a day, farmers, friends, and complete strangers from all over northern Wisconsin helped haul them to other farms where they stayed until we could rebuild. By the end of 2018, we had a new state-of-the-art robotic milking facility that allows our cows to milk themselves 3 times a day. At about the same time, President Trump's economic boom began helping dairy farmers across the nation. As a businessman, President Trump understands that farming is a complicated, capital-intensive, and risky business. More than any president in my lifetime, he has acknowledged the importance of farmers and agriculture. That support and focus on negotiating new trade deals gave us the confidence to rebuild our barn and dairy operation. Business was booming again, and business boomed right until the COVID-19 shutdown in March. Many people probably don't realize that our country is one of the few in the world that produces nearly all of its own food. Fewer still understand how close our food production and distribution system came to collapsing this past spring. But President Trump understood and again took steps to provide the supports we needed.
But we needed to close down because of coronavirus. The COVID-19 virus is killing people. You needed to shut down.
To our national security.
And yes, we should have supported people who were losing income because of the shutdown.
Roaring back. One person deserves the credit and our vote.
One person deserves that credit because the legislation came out of the Democratic House and passed the Republican Senate, but one person deserves the credit? That's malarkey. Malarkey, I say.
Not a friendly environment at all to
businesses are over. This is one of the problems I have with Republicans and conservatives is the idea of over-regulation. Yeah, there are some regulations that I'm sure that we can get rid of, and there's some regulations that we should keep and expand. Regulation in and of itself isn't a bad thing. It's how it's used, and some regulations may be bad things, but
it got to the point
too little regulation allows businesses to get away with a lot of crap that hurts people. Not enough regulation on the oil industry caused the Macondo oil disaster in the Gulf, which killed like 12 people and ruined the fishermen in the Gulf. The same type of fisherman who was on about with his lobster. That same type of person. We had people in the Gulf who lost their businesses for a while. They couldn't fish because their seafood was tainted with not only oil but the other toxic stuff that comes with oil spills.
It's huge for parents right now, especially black moms whose kids
but they don't want regulation.
Black unemployment rate was at the lowest ever.
I've seen numbers of employees go up and they're earning a lot more for their family than what they had previously.
What this administration has done, simplifying the government, it's really cut the handcuffs off of America.
Simplifying it. Just because something is simple doesn't necessarily make it better.
I've never seen in my lifetime.
When you pull regulation and allow small companies to go out there and be able to play in the game, that is the American dream.
Eliminating regulations would allow bigger companies to have even more of a monopoly and or create economies of scale that can push smaller businesses away too. That's the simple-mindedness that conservatives just don't get.
Taxes on everyone.
Over-regulating and making it where a small business can't grow. That's taking away the American dream.
I think with the upcoming election, people just need to think about what is better for them and their family.
The president's job is
what's better for me and my family? Just the money-wise? Sure, money-wise, I'll make more under Trump than I will under Biden. Maybe. But if Biden's able to implement the public option, I will then be spending much less money on my insurance. So if you look at things in a vacuum, yeah. But if you look at things with all of the issues combined, maybe if Biden comes in, maybe we can actually go back to work and everybody can be at full employment because we don't have to. We're listening to experts on COVID-19.
Hello, folks. You know me from TV and radio. I'm Larry Kudlow. Years ago, I worked for Ronald Reagan. More recently, I helped the team craft Donald Trump's economic plan during the campaign. It was a roaring success. Inheriting a stagnant economy on the front end of recession, the program of tax cuts, historic rollback of onerous
wow. He inherited the Obama, he's piggybacked off the Obama-Biden economy. That's just insane.
Trade deals to bolster manufacturing, agriculture, technology, and other sectors. The economy was rebuilt in 3 years. Unemployment fell to the lowest rate.
The economy was rebuilt. The economy was good at the end of the Obama-Biden administration.
Hispanics, women, all groups benefited enormously. Everyone was better off. A rising tide lifted all boats.
That's not true.
Then came a once-in-100-year pandemic. It was awful. Health and economic impacts were tragic. Hardship and heartbreak were everywhere. But presidential leadership came swiftly and effectively with an extraordinary rescue for health and safety to successfully fight the COVID virus. The great bipartisan rescue also saved the economy. Right now, Our economic health is coming back. With emergency spending and tax cuts, Americans are going back to work. There's a housing boom.
And then we're going to get sick, and then we're going to all have to go back to phase 0 again.
Consumer spending boom. Stocks are in record territory. A V-shaped recovery is pointing to better than 20% growth in the second half of this year. Now, looking ahead, more tax cuts and regulatory rollback will be in store. Payroll tax cuts for higher wages, income tax cuts for the middle class, capital gains tax cuts for investment, productivity, and jobs. Much more regulatory relief for small businesses. In economic terms, folks, this is no time for a $4 trillion tax hike. Coming out of the deep pandemic, who in their right mind would pick the pockets of
Coming out of the pandemic? We're not even anywhere close to coming out of the pandemic. They're saying we should have maybe double the deaths that we currently have by December, especially when the flu season hits.
Optimism, or do you want to turn back to the dark days of stagnation, recession, and pessimism? I believe there can't be better economic policies than we've had in recent years. So I say, stay with them. Thank you.
Yeah. He looks like...
I'm John Peterson, owner of a second-generation metal fabrication business called Shooty Metals. We've been stamping our products and services
Brother Love, that's the name I was looking for, from WWF,
since
way back when.
1957. My brother and I purchased the business from my uncles almost 38 years ago. What was a 12-person shop has now grown into a company employing 165 people today. Like most companies that are successful over the long run, we had to reinvent ourselves as the market changed. 6 years ago, we invested heavily in our business, just as a great recession appeared. Barack Obama and Joe Biden, two career politicians who knew nothing about business, couldn't get the government out of our way, and it put our business in a tailspin. Sadly, we were forced to make decisions, which included cutting staff. A torturous experience when our employees are like family. The Obama-Biden era banking regulations left us no choice. It tied our lenders' hands, and it deprived us of the lifeblood of our business, capital. We scratched and we clawed for 2 years, and then everything changed. Donald Trump was elected president, and he knew what it was like to build a company and create jobs. One of the first things he did was to cut red tape and put an end to draconian type.
He doesn't like red tape because red tape prevents him from scamming over his contractors and do work for him.
Allowing us to be more competitive both domestically.
He likes to be able to scam people out of their money.
In fact, we increased revenues by 25%
Trump steaks.
2 years in a row.
Trump University scamming people out of their money, but just even the contractors he hired, he didn't say, well, I don't want to pay you this, I'm going to pay you this instead, and if you don't like it, sue me. So they'd have to take a lower amount than they'd originally agreed on, and because Trump has more high-powered lawyers, they have to accept it. He's a bully. He is a flat-out bully.
But when I hear that Joe Biden is ready to raise taxes, crush us with regulations, and weaken our international trade position, I shudder. We simply cannot endure a Biden-induced recession. Some will struggle, some will not survive, and working men and women of America will get crushed yet again. This is not time to hand our government over to a washed-up career politician who will be nothing but a puppet of the radical left Democrats. As a lifelong resident of Wisconsin, I'm a fan of the Badger football team. Many may not realize that the Wisconsin Badgers and the president share three common qualities.
Really?
They are smart, they're tough, and they're dependable. As a
Well,
businessman, I can
you
tell
just
you
got a
that
failing grade on that
we
exam.
need in our country's
There,
leader,
he is
and
none of
that's
those
why we
three.
need to re-elect
Wow.
Donald J. Trump. Thank you, and God bless America.
Do I continue on with the did we sneeze joke, or do I you know, just stop with it because it's old and beating a dead horse. Da 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 da. Who we got now?
Good evening. I'm Sissy Graham Lynch, and I'm honored to speak to you tonight about something that is so important to all of us, our faith. As Americans, we know the first line of the First Amendment protects our freedom of religion. But what we often forget, the actual words are free exercise of religion. That means living out our faith in our daily lives, in our schools, in our jobs.
It doesn't mean you have to go to church in the middle of a pandemic, though. You can pray at your home.
Our founders did not envision a quiet, hidden faith. They fought to ensure that the voices of faith were always welcomed, not silenced, not bullied. But during the Obama-Biden administration, these freedoms were under attack.
What?
Democrats tried to make faith organizations pay for abortion-inducing drugs.
No,
Democrats
birth control
tried
pills
to
do
force
not cause
adoption
abortions.
agencies to violate
Lie.
their deeply
Take a
held
drink.
beliefs. Democrats pressured schools to allow boys to compete in girls' sports and use girls' locker rooms. Those are the facts.
If you're a
Then,
trans
we, the
woman,
people, elected
you're a
Donald
woman.
Trump.
You're not a
People of
man.
faith suddenly
You're
had a
trans women are
fierce
women.
advocate in the White House.
And there are rules
He
with
appointed
hormone
judges who
levels
respect the First Amendment.
that are implemented
He supported religious beliefs
that
in
prevent
court.
unfair
He
competition
ensured religious
in like
ministries
college
would not be
and
forced
beyond.
to violate their beliefs. He withdrew the policies that placed our little girls at risk. And on the world
Your little
stage,
girls are not at
President
risk
Trump
from
became the
trans
first
folk. Your little
president
girls are at
to
risk
talk
from
about
Donald
the
Trump
importance
walking
of
in on them
religious
in the middle of
freedom
Miss
at the United
Teen USA
Nations,
pageants as they're
giving
dressing.
hope to people of faith around
You're
the
going to
world.
support the pervert that walks in on the middle of
America,
girls
we have not
while
yet
they're dressing
experienced
for Miss
physical
Teen USA?
persecution, even though the
You're a
left has
hypocrite.
tried to silence us.
Hypocrisy at its greatest.
Even during the pandemic, we saw how quickly life can change. Some Democratic leaders tried to ban church services, while marijuana shops and abortion clinics were declared essential.
An abortion clinic only needs a couple people, and it's a sterile place where people are going to be wearing masks during the procedure. Churches, you have people meeting groups 100 or more without masks, not socially distancing.
Whether you're a baker, a florist, or a football coach, they will force the choice between being obedient to God or to Caesar. Because the radical left's God
But you have to
is
render unto
government
Caesar what is
power.
Caesar's and render unto God what
So
is
in the
God's.
words of
And
my
Caesar has
grandfather,
the
Bill
responsibility, if
Let
you're
us
using
stand for
Caesar as
political
government in
freedom, moral
this
freedom, religious freedom,
allegory,
and the rights
that
of all Americans.
you have
And
to
let's
protect
never
people
give
from
in
other
to
people,
those who would
including
attempt to
irresponsible
take it from
people
us.
who want to go to church when they can pray
Tonight,
easily
I'm
at home.
proudly standing
God
in
doesn't
that
need
public
the
square.
antenna of a
And I
church
hope
to
and
hear your
pray
prayer.
You will join me in voting to re-elect President Trump.
Oh shit! That was just loads of
I am
hypocrisy.
Bob Solich, Mayor of Evelyn, a small town in the Iron Range of Minnesota. My father and grandfather earned their livings mining the raw materials that made the steel that built America. This election is a make or break for workers who are carrying on the legacy of men like them. Since the Iron Range economy is vulnerable to economic trends and to foreign trade, we have always needed a strong voice in Washington. We looked to Democrats to fill that void for many years because we actually thought they cared about our welfare. Not anymore. The radical environmental movement has dragged the Democratic Party so far to the left, they can no longer claim to be advocates of the working man. This is hard for me to say because I am a lifelong Democrat. But for far too long, members of both parties allowed our country to be ripped off by our trading partners, especially China, who dumped steel into our markets and slapped tariffs on our products. And what did so-called leaders like Joe Biden do? Nothing. The human cost has been devastating. We lost thousands of jobs. We lost a generation of young people who had to leave the Iron Range to find a livelihood. And worst of all, we lost hope. Then something unexpected happened. A straight-talking New Yorker burst onto the scene, promising to stand up to China and the rest of the world on behalf of the American
But
worker.
McCain was the straight
4
talk
years
express.
later, the Iron Range is roaring back to life.
See how Trump
and we have one
treated
man to thank,
John McCain, war
President
veteran,
Donald
war
Trump.
hero.
He made good on his promises.
Because he
by
got
cutting our
captured, he got
taxes,
paraded.
rolling back senseless regulations, and delivering trade deals that put America's interests first. But the fight is not over. Joe Biden has allowed radicals like AOC to craft his environmental policies. Their so-called Green New Deal is a job-killing disgrace dreamt up by people
Why is it
who
a
don't live in
job-killing
the real world.
disgrace?
But Biden is too weak, too scared, and too sleepy to stand up to the radical left. He has been doing nothing in Washington for 47 years. Why would year 48 be any different? President Trump won't back down to anybody. He delivered the best economy in our history, and he will do it again.
He was given the
for
best
all of us.
economy in our history.
The Iron Range's economic future and survival is at stake, and so is America's. We know we can count on President Trump to fight for us and
Aquatic,
win.
are you still there?
Let's make sure he wins on November 3rd. God bless America.
Oh, is this woman? Is this Johnson?
My name is Abby Johnson.
Yeah.
And I spent 8 years
She wants
working for
to
Planned
eliminate
Parenthood.
the
But today,
women from
I'm
voting.
a pro-life activist. When I was in college, Planned Parenthood approached me at a volunteer fair. They talked about helping women in crisis and their commitment to keep abortion safe, legal, and rare. I was convinced to volunteer and later offered a full-time job as a medical assistant before my promotion to director of the clinic. I truly believed I was helping women, but things drastically changed
Yeah,
in
what she wants is a
2009.
head of household voting
In
system
April, I was awarded
where
Planned
husbands
Parenthood's
have the final
Employee
say.
of the Year award and invited to their annual gala where they present the Margaret Sanger Award, named for their founder. And Margaret Sanger was a racist who believed in eugenics. Her goal
And
when
Planned Parenthood
founding
has
Planned
decried
Parenthood
her
was
beliefs.
to eradicate the minority population. Today, almost 80% of Planned Parenthood abortion facilities are strategically located in
Black neighborhoods, blah, blah, blah.
year,
The supply side
Parenthood
theory of
celebrates
abortion is
its
just
racist
completely
roots
flawed, just
by
with the rest of
presenting
supply side
the
economics.
Margaret Sanger Award. Later in August,
It's not if you
my
build it, they will
supervisor
abort.
assigned me a
It's
new
they're going to
quota
go
meet,
and open in
an
places where
abortion
their
quota.
services are in most
I was
demand.
expected to
If that
sell
happens to
double
be
the
in
abortions
cities,
performed the previous
and those cities
year.
happen to have high
When
black
I pushed
populations,
back, underscoring
to quote
Planned
your
Parenthood's
president,
public-facing goal
it is
of
what it is.
decreasing abortions, I was reprimanded and told, abortion is how we make our money.
I'm sure
But
you
the
were
tipping
not
point
told
came
that.
a month later when a physician asked me to assist with an ultrasound-guided abortion. Nothing prepared me for what I saw on the screen. An unborn baby fighting back, desperate to move away from the suction. And I'll never forget what the doctor said next. "Beam me up, Scotty." The last thing I saw was a spine twirling around in the mother's womb before succumbing to the force of the suction. On October 6th, I left the clinic, looking back only to remember why I now advocate so passionately for life. I founded and currently run
When
And Then There Were
Republican
None,
Jeb
a
Bush,
nonprofit
governor of
organization
Florida at the
that's helped
time,
nearly 600
defunded Planned
abortion
Parenthood,
workers transition
abortions went
out of
up,
the
and
industry.
access to prenatal care went
For
down.
most people
But
who
conservatives
consider
don't want to
themselves
talk about
pro-life,
that.
Abortion is abstract. They can't even conceive of the barbarity. They don't know about the products of conception room and abortion clinics where infant corpses are pieced back together to ensure nothing remains in the mother's wombs, or that we joked and called it the pieces of children room. You see, for me, abortion is real. I know what it sounds like. I know what abortion smells like. Did you know abortion even had a smell? I've been the perpetrator
I
to
mean,
these babies,
I'm sure
to these
they
women.
do.
And I now support President
all
Trump
surgeries
because he
have a
has
smell.
done more for the unborn than any other president. During his first month in office, he banned federal funds for global health groups that promote abortion. That same year, he overturned an Obama-Biden rule that allowed government subsidy of abortion. He appointed a record number of pro-life judges, including 2 Supreme Court justices. And importantly, he announced a new rule protecting the rights of healthcare workers objecting to abortion, many of
So
whom I work with
what if that happens?
every
What if
day.
there's an emergency that requires an abortion and the woman's going to die? The person who's pregnant is going to die.
This election is a choice
That someone
between
should be able to just
two
opt out of that?
radical
No, that's
anti-life
absurd.
activists and the most pro-life president we have ever had. That's something that should compel you to
He wanted to
action.
bomb the crap out of the
Go
people
door
in the
to
Middle
door,
East.
make
That's not
calls,
pro-life.
Talk to your neighbors and friends and vote on November 3rd. Take
What happened to
action
Make America
that
Great or Keep
reelects
America
our
Great on the
president,
bottom
and
of
do it
the
with our very
of the sign right
vulnerable
there?
Americans in mind.
There.
The ones who haven't
I'm used to
been
my
born
picture
yet.
being on the other side of the screen, on that side of the screen. At least I don't think this music is going to cause copyright
To
hits.
join thousands for the annual March for Life. These Catholic young men
March for,
traveled to
here
Kentucky
comes this
to
idiot.
stand up for what they believed in. But what happened was
Bum, bum,
something
bum,
very
bum,
different.
bum, 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 bum. Bum, 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 bum. Look at him getting in the face of that. I mean, he got in the face of the guy and was like staring him down. I can't believe they said he got a settlement. It's ridiculous.
Against a boy in a Make America Great Again hat.
The MAGA hat carries
He
a
got
certain
into his
connotation
face. He
that
stood up
provokes a
there
conditioned
and is
reaction.
making that little smirk.
What a little crap. Everyone that sees that smug look wants to punch that kid.
Nicholas Sandman received death threats.
Bum, bum,
And
bum,
his
bum,
school
bum,
was
bum,
forced
bum,
to
bum, bum,
close.
bum, 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 bum.
Tonight, Nicholas tells
Mr.
his
Sandman, get in their face.
Good evening, everyone.
Oh,
My name is
Lord.
Nick Sandman, and I'm the teenager who was defamed by the media after an encounter with a group of protesters on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial last
My
year.
opinion is that you're a little
Before
jerk.
I begin,
So
I'd
that's
like to
my
thank
opinion.
President Trump for the opportunity to share some of my story and why it matters so much to this November's election. In
Watch
2019,
the video.
I
Watch
attended the
them
March for Life in
get
Washington,
into that
D.C.,
guy's face.
where I demonstrated in defense of the unborn. Later that day, I bought a Make America Great Again hat because our president, Donald Trump, has distinguished himself as one of the most pro-life presidents in the history of our country.
Who wants to
And I
bomb
wanted to
children,
express
women
my
and children in
support
the
for
Middle
him,
East?
too.
But, you know,
Looking back now,
that's
how could
pro-life.
I possibly imagine that
Wants to
the
take away
simple
health
act
care, but that's
of putting on that
pro-life.
red hat would unleash hate from the left and make myself the target of network and cable news networks nationwide. Being from Kentucky, the birthplace of Abraham Lincoln, my classmates
Lincoln would
and
not
I
be a
visited the
Republican.
Lincoln Memorial. I found myself face to face with Nathan Phillips and other professional protesters looking to turn me into the latest poster
But you're just an
child
amateur
showing
protester,
why
I guess.
Trump is bad, while the media portrayed me as an aggressor with a relentless smirk on my face.
You had a
In
smirk on your
reality, the video
face.
confirms I was standing with my hands behind my back and an awkward smile on my face that hid two thoughts. One, don't do anything that might further agitate the man banging a drum in my face. And two, I was trying to follow a family friend's advice. Never to do anything to embarrass your family,
Talk less, smile
your
more.
school, or your
Paper.
community. Before I knew what was happening, it was over. One of Mr. Phillips'
They
fellow
settled the
agitators
lawsuit.
yelled out, "We got him. It's all right here on video. And we won, Grandpa." What I thought was a strange encounter quickly developed into a major news story, complete with video footage. My life changed forever in that one moment. The full war machine of the mainstream media revved up into attack mode. They did so without researching the full video of the incident, without ever investigating Mr. Phillips' motives, or without ever asking me for my side of the story. And do you know why? Because the truth was not important. Advancing their anti-Christian, anti-conservative, anti-Donald Trump narrative was all that mattered. And if advancing their narrative ruined the reputation and future of a teenager from Covington, Kentucky, well, so be it. That would teach him not to wear a
Let's
MAGA
see.
hat. I learned what was happening to me had a name. It was called being canceled, as in annulled, as in revoked, as in made void. Canceled is what's happening to people around this country who refuse to be silenced by the far left. Many are being fired, humiliated, or even threatened. And often, the media is a willing participant. but I would not be canceled. I fought back hard to expose the media for what they did to me, and I won a personal victory. While much more must be done, I look forward to the day that the media
Is this a
returns
smirk?
to providing balanced,
Is that a smirk?
and
Looks like a
accountable
smirk
news
to me.
coverage. I know President Trump hopes for
That looks like a
too.
smirk to me.
And I know you'll agree with me when we say that no one in this country has
He's
been
laughing
a
at
victim
him and
of
mocking
unfair
him.
media coverage more than President Donald Trump. In November, I believe this country must unite around a president who calls the media out and refuses to allow them to create a narrative instead of reporting the facts. I believe
Let's
we
see if we
must
can
join a
fast
president
forward
who
this
will
video.
challenge the media to return to objective journalism. And together, I believe we must all embrace our First Amendment rights and not hide in fear of the media or from the tech companies or from the outrage mob either. This is worth fighting
So
for.
there he is back there. Look,
This
he's
is worth
behind
voting
somebody.
for. And this is what Donald Trump stands for. Thank you all for listening to me tonight. And one more
The
thing.
entire group of them
Let's make America great again.
together are almost surrounding the Native American guy. And there he's smiling. He's smiling. And smirking. All while his friends egg him on.
I'm Pam Bondi.
I don't know.
Our party's theme tonight is America, the land of opportunity. And listening to the stories of discoveries and deliverance, you can't help but be proud to call this country home. But for Joe Biden, it's been the land of opportunism, not opportunity. As a career prosecutor and former Attorney General of Florida, I fought corruption, and I know what it looks like, whether it's done by people wearing pinstripe suits or orange jumpsuits. At the Democrats' convention, we were told to look at Joe Biden as the model of integrity. But when you look at his 47-year career in politics, the people who benefited are his family members, not the American people. Let's take a closer look. We all know about Joe's son, Hunter Biden. A corrupt Ukrainian oligarch put Hunter on the board of his gas company, even though he had no experience in Ukraine or in the energy sector. None. Yet he was paid millions to do nothing. He only had one qualification that mattered. He was the son of the man in charge of distributing U.S. aid to Ukraine.
Are they going to get the timeline
And
wrong
recently
again?
Reported information revealed that a few months after Hunter Biden joined that corrupt company's board, the Obama-Biden State Department began doing business with them, even when it remained under investigation for corruption.
Think you're getting your
And it gets
timeline
worse.
wrong
That
again.
very same company was being investigated by a Ukrainian prosecutor. Joe Biden, the Vice President of the United States, threatened to withhold aid to Ukraine unless that same prosecutor was fired.
Much
And then
after
he was
the
fired.
the prosecution was over with,
Hunter
or the
only resigned from that
investigation
board
was over with.
just before his dad announced his campaign for president. Now let's talk about China. Fact. Joe Biden flew to China on Air Force Two with Hunter along for the ride. They said he was just there as a family member, but we know that's untrue. In Beijing, Hunter didn't just go sightseeing. He had meetings with his Chinese bank partners. Hunter even arranged for his dad to meet with one of the partners. 10 days later, those Chinese communist bankers approved millions to go to
When
Hunter's
Hunter
farm.
Biden would join the board,
And those bankers,
the founder
went to the
was
Chinese
under
Communist
investigation for
Party,
money
which
laundering by
oppressed
British
their
Serious
people,
Fraud Office.
cheated American workers for decades, and covered up a
And there was
deadly
bureaucratic corruption
virus.
in Biden, and
To
Biden
this
said that they were
day,
going to withhold
Hunter
guarantees
controls a 10%
unless Ukraine's top
stake
prosecutor,
in
who'd been
that
widely
firm.
accused of corruption, was
And
removed.
Joe Biden's done more than
So the
look
prosecutor
other
was
way
corrupt,
in
and everybody
China.
everybody
He
was
said,
saying that it was.
The Chinese aren't our competition.
The probe was dormant
Come on,
at that
man.
time. There
They're
was no
not
probe
bad
going on at
folks.
the time.
Come on, Joe. Talk to the folks in middle
So,
America.
time to take
who
another
lost
drink if
countless
you're
jobs
making
to
a drinking
China,
game for every
while
lie
your
that's
son
going
is
on
getting
in
rich
the
with them.
Republican National Convention.
But there's more. Fact. There have been numerous press reports that have shown other close Biden family members benefited from Joe's 47-year political career. Joe Biden was point person on Iraq. The president of a construction firm met with Biden's team in the White House, and then who did they hire to build thousands of houses in Iraq? Joe Biden's close family member, who, you guessed it, had no experience in the industry and no experience in Iraq. A company official bragged that it helps to have a family member of the vice president as partner. The family member put it more bluntly by saying, there's a line of 747s filled with cash ready to invest. Now let's follow the money down south. Again, as reported in the press, yet another close family member of Joe's set his sights on Costa Rica and Jamaica, where millions of dollars flowed from the Obama-Biden administration in taxpayer-backed loans to projects linked to, yes, that same family member. These aren't isolated incidents. It is a deliberate pattern of conduct. And that's just what he did as vice president. Imagine what he'd do as president. How many American families would be allowed to get away with this? Why should there be one standard for the elite political class and another set of rules for the rest of us? When millions of Americans voted for Donald Trump, they knew he'd be different, and he is. He's a tough, no-nonsense outsider who can't be bought or intimidated. He won't even take a paycheck from the American people.
He's taking money from them every time they stay at the resorts. Every time they stay at Trump resorts.
About integrity for 4 years, while their nominee has been writing the textbook.
Yeah, he's made so much more money than the measly paycheck that he would have gotten.
Between who's saving America and who's swindling America, bring it on. Joe says he'll build back better. Yeah, build the Bidens back better. Our president
that was so smart.
to build a safer, better, and stronger America. And he will finish what he started to keep this a real land of opportunity for everyone. If you want to check your voting status, secure your ballot, or register to vote, text
I really want to know what they mean by securing your ballot.
88022. Remember.
Oh, hello. Are we losing? Oh, I guess their video crapped out.
Plays a very, very big role. The level of
the wall
genius is unbelievable, frankly.
You're what? You've got 70, 80 years on this earth? What are you going to do with it? Are you going to make that difference? Are you going to say, I was there for the big battles in our country to save America? It's what I feel very much called to do ever since I was a very young girl.
In 2016, Donald Trump made his historic run for the office of United States President. Knowing the monumental task he would be undertaking, he rested all of his hopes for winning on one woman. Because of that trust, he became the 45th President of the United States, and Kellyanne Conway became the first woman in U.S. history to manage a winning presidential campaign.
And she's leaving.
Has been a champion for women, mostly
because I like to grab them by the you-know-what.
if they can handle and tackle all issues.
I don't want a job because of my gender. I want the job because I'm the best.
Because I'm the loudest person on the planet.
That's it. And he respects that. And he appreciates.
He just wants to shut me up.
Can't ask for anything better.
Because I talk so loud.
President Trump continues to
My
place
God,
strong women
how loud
into
was she?
significant positions throughout his administration and campaign.
And most of them are family or friends of family or girlfriends of family.
Does have more women on his top team than any president before, but it actually goes down to his deputy assistants, to his special assistants, to our awesome teams throughout the West Wing.
And when he called me and said, I want you to represent my entire campaign, I became the first black woman to represent a Republican presidential campaign, winning presidential campaign in United States history.
Throughout his career, Trump has always touted family first as a core value. He shows this especially with his choices of press secretaries, choosing Sarah Sanders, the first mother to become a press secretary, Stephanie Grisham, the first single mother to serve as press secretary, and Kayleigh McEnany, who transitioned into
Who is a racist birther.
transitioning into the job of mom.
I have 4 children. Kellyanne Conway has 4 children. Ivanka has, I think between all the senior staff women, we might have 75 kids. I'm not sure, we've lost count, but the importance of the work is never lost on any of us. And truly, it is those children that we are fighting for and for their future.
With these capable women placed in positions of powerful influence and authority, President Trump has proven that when the stakes are highest, he is proud to entrust many of our nation's most
if you watch the press conference with Kayleigh McEnany, holy crap. I mean, the amount of crap
brilliant,
you would shovel from that one is more than you would get from that cow farm that was featured earlier in this night 2 of the convention. Whew.
Only the president would say, let's take that stay-home mom and have her run.
To go back.
What a smart guy.
To go back to the protest. Yeah, if you watch the full video, the Native American did approach the group. Oh, I'm shocked that Tiffany Trump gets the opportunity to speak.
Convention 4 years ago, so much has changed for the world, for our country, and for my family. Like so many students across the world, I graduated from law school during the pandemic. Our generation
Congratulations,
is unified in the face
Tiffany Trump, for graduating law school.
Times. And many of us are considering what kind of country we want to live in. As a recent graduate, I can relate to so many of you who might be looking for a job. My father built a thriving economy once, and believe me,
he didn't build
will do
it.
Again.
Someone else made that happen.
This election, I urge each and every one of you to transcend political boundaries. This is a fight for freedom versus oppression, for opportunity versus stagnation, a fight to keep America true to America. I urge you to make judgment based on results and not rhetoric. If you believe in criminal justice reform, there is only one president that passed the First Step Act, giving people a second chance, a chance at a life once again. And if you believe in expanding quality and affordable health care, only President Trump, my father, signed the right to try into law, the favored nation
How is he going to get affordable health care?
To lower drug prices and keep
the insulin thing that he signed for the health clinics, I have a video on this. I think it protects like 2/10 of 1%, maybe 3/10 of 1% of the people will benefit from it nationwide.
Being manipulated and visibly coerced by the media and tech giants. If you tune into the media, you get one biased opinion or another. And what you share, if it does not fit into the narrative that they seek to promote, then it is either ignored or deemed a lie, regardless of the truth.
That's what Trump's fake news claims are all the time. It's fake news, but it's real, but it's fake news. I say it's fake, so it's fake.
The right to form our own beliefs, this misinformation system keeps people mentally enslaved to the ideas they deem correct. This has fostered unnecessary fear and divisiveness amongst us. Why are so many in media and technology and even in our own government so invested in promoting a biased and fabricated view? Ask yourselves, why are we prevented from seeing certain information? Why is one viewpoint promoted while others are hidden? The answer?
Because it's because some people are full of crap, and you don't need to share like full of crap information, a virus, so to speak.
Only one side of the story
or to give an
gets out,
example,
or when only one viewpoint is acceptable. For our education system, it meant sacrificing civil debate by creating an atmosphere where students with contrary opinions are too afraid to speak. Many students find themselves suppressing their beliefs to fit into what the acceptable groupthink is. In short, our nation suffers by inhibiting our diversity of thought and inclusion of ideas.
What if they're bad ideas, like incorrect ideas, like hydroxychloroquine being good for people for taking for COVID?
Some
hydroxychloroquine.
Do not seem to believe in the
I'm pushing the snake oil.
Well, I do. As Maximo Alvarez said so eloquently last night, if freedom is lost in this country, there is nowhere else to go. Having hope is not weakness.
Cool 28574. Did you guys see the speeches leaked? No, I did not
So
see that
tonight,
the speeches
I
were
want to
leaked.
tell you the uncensored truth of what we believe in.
Let's see.
We believe in equality of opportunity. We believe in freedom of thought and expression. Think what you want. Seek out the truth. Learn from those with different opinions. And then freely make your voice heard.
You know, when Melania does speak, I wonder if she's going to purposely cite Michelle Obama just to make it a joke. That would be funny.
We believe in freedom of religion for
But I haven't seen
all
anything
faiths.
about the Republicans'
We believe
speeches
in the American
being leaked.
spirit, a country
Let's see.
founded on ideas, not identity.
Oh,
a country where our differences
Melania's
are
RNC
embraced,
speak
and the only
switched
country
leaked, and
where the
honestly,
word
it's way better than
dream Has been
expected.
attached to it, because in America,
folks
your
are
life
reluctant
is
to tune
yours
into
to
it.
chart. So, you're hearing these things and thinking to yourself, that is the kind of country that I want to live in. Well,
On
whether
Twitter,
you
it
realize or
says
not,
the Melania's
you are
RNC
a
speak
Trump
just leaked,
supporter.
and it's just Michelle
I
Obama talking
encourage
over her
you to see
talking.
beyond the facade that so many other politicians employ. They mask themselves.
Hey, we have
in
5
disguises
concurrent
of
viewers. Thank you for
decency
joining on our
as they
live stream.
try
If
to
you have not
pressure us
subscribed to
to
Liberal
mask
Dan
our
Radio
own
on YouTube, please do
identities
so.
and beliefs.
Like the video
My
as
father
well.
is the only person to challenge the establishment.
I'm
the
slowly
entrenched
trying to build up to
bureaucracy,
1,000 so I
big
can
pharma,
eventually
and media
monetize the channel.
monopolies to ensure that Americans' constitutional freedoms are upheld and that justice and truth prevail.
Hello, Garrett
My
Harvey.
father does
He
not
says Trump
run away from
2020.
challenges, even in the
We
face of
welcome
outright
Aquatic,
hatred.
one of the
Because
people
fighting for
watching this
America
chat right
is
now.
something he will
He
sacrifice anything for. He dreams
Hashtag
big
Lincoln
dreams for our
Leaks.
country, and
Let's
he's
see.
relentless at achieving them. You see, Make America Great Again is not a slogan for my father. It is what drives him to keep his promise of doing what is right for American citizens. The energy of change and opportunity is with us. God has blessed us with unstoppable spirit. His spirit, the American
We just got
spirit.
Tiffany Trump's speech.
My
Well, I mean,
dad
I'm
is
watching it
proven
now.
to be driven
Respond to
by
the
that
tweet with
spirit.
Lincoln Leaks. If we
He
get
has
5,000
demonstrated his
responses, we'll
faith
release it.
in his uncompromising
Okay.
heart and actions. My father has made me believe that America can truly be great again. If you care about living your life,
Why hasn't it been great for the last 4 years then?
about rebelling against those
If he was
who
supposed to make
suppress
America
your
great, he
voice
failed on
and
doing so. If
building
you're still
your
saying make America
American
great
dream,
again, because we
your
haven't,
choice in
because he
this election is
failed.
clear.
He can't do it.
A vote for my father.
And we elected a
Donald
president who
Trump,
didn't believe
is
America
a
was
vote
great
to
at the time when he was
uphold our
elected, which is
American
absurd.
ideals. Be true
If
to
a Democrat would have said that, they would have said,
true
oh,
to
that's
the dream of
unpatriotic.
America. Thank you, and God bless you all.
I really want to say it again.
I'm Kim Reynolds, Governor of the great state of Iowa.
The
I
great
love
state.
this state, and I'm so proud to
Ought
serve
to
its
give
people.
Iowa a
Iowa
try,
truly is a
especially
land
if you're
of opportunity.
contrary.
It's the birthplace
Shout out
of
to the Music
computer.
Man.
It's a landmark of the financial services industry. And as
Hey,
so many
Garrett
of
Harvey, are
already
you,
know, it's filled with
You
farmland
know,
that
on my
feeds
taxes,
and
I did
fuels
make
the
more
world.
money. I paid less in
It's also
taxes
home to people who
the
care
first
for
year
one
that Trump
another,
was president
who work
comparatively
hard,
to the year
who
before.
love this
So look,
country,
I will
and are
absolutely say
truly
that my taxes
grateful
were
for
better
the
under
freedoms
Trump.
it provides.
But does
As I
that
like to say,
necessarily mean
Iowa
that
is one big small town.
not everything is money?
Neighbor helping neighbor is in our DNA.
I'd rather pay
From the
less and
sick farmer
less,
who
rather get a
can't
little
harvest
less money
his
in my
crops,
final
to the
paycheck,
single mom who
and
loses her
you know
job
have a
and
country
is
that's going to
struggling to
protect
get back on her
equality
feet.
for everybody.
The town, the community, helps them get through it.
Sorry,
But
we're
what
speaking
happens when
over
a storm rips through
Madam
almost
Governor.
the entire state? When it's not one farmer who lost his crop, but hundreds. When it's not one neighbor who was without food, but thousands. That happened just 2 weeks ago. A storm called a derecho with hurricane-force winds of up to 140 miles per hour wiped out millions of acres of crops, left thousands without power. It destroyed homes, wrecked lives, and left devastation in its wake. It was the worst storm in our state's history.
Jerry V, the
And
V man,
Iowans
who
did
does sports
what you
radio in
expect
North
Iowans
Carolina,
to
who
do.
I'm friends with
They
on
helped each
Facebook,
other,
because he used to
they
be in
took
New
care of
Orleans.
each
He goes, so
other,
correct me
and
if I'm
they still
wrong.
are.
It just
But
seems like the
someone else had our
takeaway from the
back.
RNC is look
Our
at how
president.
terrible America
When the
is right
winds had
now.
finished
Vote for
raging
4 more
and the
years.
cleanup had
I'm
only
just
begun,
saying.
He showed up. Now, you might not know that because the national media didn't report it, but the Trump administration was here in full force. The day after the storm, the
What
president
other
called to
administration would
assure
be
me
there?
that we had the full backing of the
Congratulations,
federal
Donald Trump did his
government. And
job.
later that week, Vice President Pence came to Iowa to again assure us that the president.
What do you mean equality for everybody? It says in the chat room, I think America is equal opportunity for all. Not necessarily.
We received a major disaster
there's all sorts of, there's class privilege, racial privilege, gender privilege,
the president, he cut through
cisgendered privilege.
To do what needed to
I mean,
be
I
done
don't want to necessarily get into intersectionality with somebody who might deny the fact that we have privilege altogether.
President Trump showed Iowans that we can rely on him.
I mean, identity politics.
In
when you say identity politics, you try and assert that you don't have differences based off of genders,
large and small,
based off of
the Missouri River,
race, based
Iowa,
off of sexual
Nebraska,
orientation, based off of if you're trans or not.
Request for aid in record time, in just 2 days. Well, this year he did it in less than 24
The payroll
hours.
tax hasn't been ended, Garrett. Here, let's fact check Garrett in chat. He said he ended the payroll tax recently. That's not what he did. Garrett, he deferred the payroll tax. He doesn't have the authority to end the payroll tax. Only an act of Congress can end the payroll tax or forgive the deferred payroll taxes that or the payroll taxes he deferred from now to the end of the year.
And his leadership,
so you need Congress to do that. And he said he won't do it unless he gets reelected. So if he doesn't get reelected, you're going to see people who are going to have to now pay this money back. So it behooves everybody at this point to save the money that you would have paid towards your payroll tax, because it might have to be paid back later, because there's no guarantee that it's going to be written off.
And may God bless the United
So no, he did not
States of
end the
America.
payroll tax recently. That is a falsehood. Although there was a lot of confusion over what he said he wanted to do versus what he did versus what he actually meant he wanted to do.
Where your own resolution to succeed is more important than any other. Abraham
Oh, that's
Lincoln's
Pence. Okay,
words
I was trying to look at remember who that voice
still
is. It's
resonate
Pence.
today because of who we
Pence.
are and because of what we are. A country
You
where
do not
boys
believe you have an
born into
advantage because of your
poverty
white
in a log
skin
cabin,
color.
raised
Are
right
you
here on the
from
frontier of
England, Garrett?
educate himself,
Or from
become
across
a
the
lawyer,
pond?
become a president of the United States who would preserve the Union, abolish
Just because of how
slavery,
you spelled color.
and save the nation.
You put in the U.
As a fellow Hoosier, visiting Lincoln's boyhood home has always been a treasured experience.
I mean, you might not believe that you have an advantage because of your white skin color, but you do. I mean, simply, there are people who are, if your name sounds black, I'm just gonna put that in quotes, sounds black, you're going to have,
you can be anything.
you're going to have more likelihood that somebody just looks at your resume and discards it just because of how your name sounds. That's been proven.
Every day, our president's been
How is
fighting
life
to
in the Great
expand
White
the
North?
reach of the American dream.
Garrett lives in Canada
Every
now.
single day, without fail,
Did you embrace the U
President
before or
Donald
after moving?
has been fighting for you.
Like if you're from
So tonight,
America,
I'd
but you
like
moved to
to
Canada,
introduce
why
you
did you switch to
to
the
a few
spelling it with the
remarkable
U just to fit in?
Who represent
Sorry, I mean,
that
I don't mean to
solemn
pick on
pledge,
you, but
who embody our president's unbreakable devotion to ensuring that America is a land of unlimited opportunity for all. Jack is an 8-year-old from Wisconsin who was struggling academically.
there's wage gaps. There are racial wage gaps. I have a friend of mine who got a sneak peek at looked at the payroll of one of the companies that I used to work for, and the white people with the same experiences as he did had much higher salaries than he did with the same skill sets. So, I mean, discrimination absolutely happens on race, on gender.
A real game changer for us, and I know that because of that opportunity that he's going to succeed and he's going to achieve that goal of being an apparatus engineer, if that's what he chooses to stick with.
Laura McClin is a mother of another inspiring boy, Jordan. Jordan has Duchenne muscular dystrophy, a fatal
There are many
muscle
people who have
weakening
claimed to have
disorder.
disproved wage gaps,
at
but
my
they use
side
examples
in
of certain
Indiana when,
careers
as
where
governor, I signed a law
women might make more than men
allowing
because
terminally
women
ill
might
patients to
dominate those
access
fields
experimental
because
drugs
of
not yet approved by the
stereotypical
FDA.
gender
In
roles.
2018, President Trump signed the landmark federal Right to Try bill into law. Thanks to the president's leadership,
They're back on the right to
critically
try,
ill
huh?
patients have the right
Hello. I paused
to
it.
access life-saving experimental treatments.
We started fighting for Right to Try, which basically says if you have a terminal illness
And
Right to Try still requires phase 1 testing
There's no other way
to
to
happen.
receive it. This is a unique pathway that allows you to have access.
Look, I'm not going to disagree that you should be able to try it if all the aspects failed, but there's a lot of reasons why you need that is because insurance companies, the insurance companies that Trump wants to protect by eliminating the Affordable Care Act.
So, Jordan, if President Trump was standing right there, what would you say to him today about right to try?
Thank you for being a hero to everybody in the country.
Blink twice
Judge
if you're
Cheryl
being
Allen
forced to
made
say that,
history in
kid.
2007, when she became the first African-American woman to be elected to serve on the Pennsylvania Superior Court. It's because of leaders like Judge Allen that our nation has overcome our greatest challenges. In this time of racial division in the country, do you see faith and values and the strong stand that President Trump has taken for equality of opportunity as a pathway toward bringing the country together?
As a senior citizen, I'll leave it at that. I know what racism feels like, but I also know that but for my being in this country, I would have never been able to achieve the things that I have been able to achieve. There are injustices, but the way to deal with those injustices is for people to sit down across the table and talk and come up with solutions. I do believe that President Trump is committed to that. In 2016, I have to confess that I really did not know candidate Trump at the time, but I have to say that he really won me over.
Gino's a truck driver from Ohio who heard politicians for years make empty promises about defending American jobs, only to see those promises broken again and again. But in 2019, when General Motors closed its plant in Lordstown, Ohio, President Donald Trump refused to stand by and watch it happen. And as Gino observed, this president reached out to General Motors to find
They're talking about
a
faith,
way to
but isn't it
bring
Jerry
jobs
Falwell
back
who
to
backed him
Lordstown.
and got him the evangelical
Plans were soon set
vote?
into motion to create Lordstown Motors.
President Trump says, this is how we fix it. And I thought, well, that's a simple solution. There's no other president that could have done it. There's no one that has even tried to do it. President Trump's a doer. He appreciates.
He's a
every one
doer.
of us.
I love to do
I've
them.
seen it.
I
When he
do
said
it. I
Make
love to
America
do
Great
it.
Again,
I just
that was
did
his
it. I'm looking to
task.
do it again.
That
History of the
wasn't
World Part
his
1. Shout
That
out.
was his task. And every hat you see that says MAGA on it, that's what your president's doing. For
Made in China, by the way. Those MAGA hats are all made in China. Or many of them are, at least.
Today, he's the executive director of the Tulsa Dream Center, a nonprofit that provides education and medical services and food to those in need. AJ, you've got a great personal story. When you see the way this president, this administration have been leaning in to create opportunities, investments in communities around the country to create jobs, expanding educational choice, what does that mean to the families that you serve every day?
It means so much to our families. I did grow up in a single-parent home, and so we serve over 600 boys and girls right now on a daily basis, even in COVID. And so for us to give these moms to have an opportunity to take more money on their check, on their paycheck home back to them, to have their children be able to go to a school that they may not have the opportunity to otherwise, it means so much to us.
In
There's
New
been so
Orleans,
much
again,
greater
we
opportunity
have
for individuals
all
to
charter
come together
schools.
in
There's
any
no
walk of
neighborhood
life. People are
schools,
really
and there's
able
no
to see
school
such a
choice. It's a
change
lottery.
and been
You
filled with
can't
hope,
just go
especially
to whatever school you think is the best school to go to. You put your name
home,
down on the
friends
list, and
and
if you
family
happen to
and
get on the
hard
list, you get that
to
first
pursue
choice, you
a
get your
better
first
life
choice. You
here
get
in
your second choice, you get your second
While
choice.
raising their four
So on. So
daughters, Lydia
maybe you
and
get your
her
fourth
husband run a
choice.
small business that creates security systems. But just months after their business was up and running, our nation was struck by a global pandemic. That's when President Donald Trump stepped in and enacted the largest financial relief package in American history. Her
He
small
signed
businesses stayed in
the
business,
largest financial
and her
relief
American dream
package
kept
in
running
history,
strong.
which had to come from the
The Paycheck
Democratic
Protection Program
Congress.
to your company as
Remember,
the
all
co-ownership.
funding bills,
It was a
according to the
huge,
Constitution,
tremendous
has to
help
come
in
from the
advancing,
House,
and so we
and then the
have
Senate
finally
can
accepted
make
those
amendments, and then they can
so
negotiate it.
grateful.
But all
Can't
funding
believe
bills
how much
have to
we
start
need.
from the House,
Yeah,
which
we
is
wanna
controlled by the
continue serving our
Democrats.
clients. We want to continue growing our economy, right? We want to all continue to move forward.
Not saying Trump shouldn't get credit for signing the law. He can take credit for signing it, but it was a bipartisan
Because of the
effort.
support of family and friends, the government. I don't know.
Bipartisan effort that signed the
I tell my children,
CARES Act
they
into
are
law.
born here in
It
the
was
U.S.
passed by the Democratic
And I tell
House.
them, "You are
It
so
was
blessed
passed by the Republican
to live in
Senate,
America."
and it was signed by Donald
Here at
Trump.
Abraham Lincoln's
It's
boyhood
not
home,
just something that any
a
one
young
party
man would
did,
grow up to become
but
the first
all
Republican president of the
funding
United States.
bills come from
And
the
today,
House.
Another Republican president is fighting to preserve that same noble legacy of freedom.
Abraham
President
Lincoln would
Donald
not be a
Trump
Republican today.
will make
That's
certain that the
just
torch of
it is.
American
It is what it
opportunity reaches
is.
every city, every town, and every community in this blessed land.
Hi, I'm Ryan Holitz. I'm a police officer from New Mexico. In 2017, I had an encounter that changed my life forever. I had just started my shift and responded to a call for service at a gas station. When I arrived, I saw a man and a woman sitting on a grassy slope. I recognized the telltale signs, a needle, a spoon. I knew immediately that they were preparing to inject themselves with heroin. Sadly, this is a common sight for me. I encounter the ravages of addiction every day. But nothing could prepare me for what I discovered as I approached them. The woman was very pregnant. In my shock, I asked her if she knew that she was harming her baby by doing drugs. She crumbled and burst into tears. Two worlds collided as I knelt down beside her. A police officer and a homeless drug addict, brought together by forces outside of our control. As we talked, our humanity, distinct from our stations in life, was made abundantly clear. Her name was Crystal, and in the midst of her suffering, she confided that she loved her unborn baby. She wanted the best for her child. In that moment, I saw her the way that all of you who know and love an addict see them, as fathers, mothers, brothers, sisters, children, cousins, and friends, as human beings, full of value and dignity, but robbed of their potential by this disease. When Crystal said that she was looking for a family to adopt her baby, God showed me exactly what I had to do.
Huh.
Without hesitation, I told her that my family would welcome her baby through adoption. Today, our beautiful daughter Hope is a thriving 2-year-old. Crystal is fast approaching 3 years of recovery. She is a dear friend and a constant inspiration to me and others. I hold a special place in my heart for those facing opioid addiction, and that's why I'm enormously grateful to the president.
Here we are. This is where we were getting with this, the opioid addiction thing,
Through his
which
efforts, we're turning the tide.
the
of
opioid addiction actions, while it
President
may seem
Trump
good on its face, there are
declared the
people
opioid
who
crisis to be a
only can
public
take
health emergency,
opioids
and then
because they're
secured
allergic to
$60
other
billion
pain
in
medicines,
new federal
and
funding
because they
to help
can't take
Americans
those other
fight
pain
opioid
medicines,
abuse.
you are harming them by
Invested
not
an
allowing their
additional
doctors to
$100
write
million
or
to
scaring
stop
their
the opioid
doctors
crisis
from
in rural America.
writing opioid prescriptions.
In a move that strikes
These
at the
people
root
need these
of the
pain
problem,
medications. Look, there are
implemented a
people who
safer
abuse
prescribing
opioids,
plan
and
aimed at reducing
solving that
opioid
problem is
prescriptions
a noble
by
goal,
over a
but you're
third
throwing the
within
baby out with the
3 years.
bathwater, and you're harming
This is an
people
effort that
who
stops
cannot
addiction
then
before it
take
ever
the
gains a
pain
hold
medicine
in
that
someone's
they
life.
need
And it's having an
to
impact.
live because they have
Drug
chronic
overdose
pain.
deaths decreased in 2018
It's ridiculous.
for the first time in 30 years. Many of the states hardest hit by the opioid crisis are seeing the largest drop in deaths. We're seeing that doctors are writing fewer prescriptions for opioid pain drugs. These are significant improvements.
And while maybe that's good for the people who can take other pain medicines, it's not good for the people who can't. There are people who need to take opioids, and you're hurting them by the way it's written. Doctors are afraid to write opioid prescriptions. They refuse to, and because they refuse to, there are people who then look like they're doctor shopping because they can't get the help that they need.
For the next 4. You see, Donald Trump is the right president at the right time.
No, he's not.
Let's make sure he's reelected on November 3rd.
Nope.
I pray God's blessings on you and your family, and may God bless America.
Just a quick update before this speaker. Marian Mendoza, who was supposed to be speaking tonight, has been removed because of anti-Semitic tweets.
As Lieutenant Governor of the great state of Florida. Tonight, I'm honored to share my story of faith, family, and American freedom. As the daughter of Cuban immigrants, my story began in 1959, before I was born, when my parents' dreams of a prosperous life became a nightmare. Chaos spread quickly when Fidel Castro took control of Cuba. The government confiscated private property, stealing people's homes, farms, and businesses. For my parents, the difficult decision to flee communist Cuba came when the Castro regime abolished religious freedom. Fellow Americans, the fabric of our nation is in peril. Daily, the radical left systematically chisels away at the freedoms we cherish. They peddle dangerous ideologies, cower to global progressives, and normalize socialism to dismantle our Constitution. Let me assure you, socialism doesn't offer opportunity. Socialism deprives. It is a falsehood that feigns promises for its masses and consistently yields.
So is
misery.
capitalism. You need a
President
mixed
Ronald Reagan
economy.
warned, if we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. Truer words have never been spoken. Americans have a choice. We can go down a dark road of chaos and government control, or we can choose the path of freedom and opportunity that was paved by those who sacrificed everything to preserve the American dream for future generations. I have faith that Americans will choose the right path. In 2016, our country yearned for a leader who would work tirelessly to jumpstart our economy.
And they voted for
fight
Hillary
for
Clinton
hardworking
because
Americans.
of the Electoral College, we
Since
didn't
day
get
one,
that leader. We got
President
a
Donald
piece of
Trump
crap
has
orange
put America first.
foolishness.
His pro-growth, pro-jobs agenda has ushered in historically low unemployment, record job creation, higher wages, and rising home ownership. The president is fighting to rescue American jobs and industries for places like Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Puerto Rico, jobs that were needlessly shipped overseas. He's defended our religious freedom, stood with democratic allies like Colombia, and shown unwavering resolve while confronting tyrants in countries like Venezuela, Cuba, China, and Nicaragua. Let us join our president in his vow that America will never be a socialist country. Supporting
Having
our
a military is
president requires
socialist.
action.
Having water
Join me
paid
tonight
for
and
by
text
everybody
vote
is socialist.
to
Water infrastructure like roads and
88022.
bridges are
We must
socialist.
continue to support our commander-in-chief, who has a bold agenda that
Businesses
safeguards
don't
the
build
rights
bridges and
and
roads. Somebody
freedoms
else made that
protected
happen.
under our Constitution. Today, more than ever,
I'm not saying going
that
full
means
socialist. I'm just
supporting
saying
our
we've
men and
gone too
women
far
in law
capitalist.
enforcement and our heroes in uniform. It means fighting to provide the best quality education
Many
by
of the
empowering
old people
parents
who are
and
voting for
preserving
Trump
school choice.
would yell if
And
somebody
it
took
means
away their
rejecting
Medicare.
the socialist takeover of our nation that will destroy the innovation,
And the idea that
economic
Biden is a
vitality,
socialist is
and
laughable.
freedoms we hold so dear. As a daughter of immigrants, a wife, a mother of 3, and the first Latina lieutenant governor in the history of the state of Florida, it is my distinct privilege to share my story, which is really your story, and the story of
My
a
story
nation
and your story
that
are
has opened
different.
its doors,
You're allowed
lifted
to
its
have your own
people,
story. That's
and
fine.
yielded success
I don't
in a way
need your
only
story.
the
I can
United
have my
States
story
of
and you can have
America
yours.
can. Together, let's ensure 4 more years for President Donald J. Trump
Why?
so that he can continue protecting our republic, and so one day our children can proudly tell the story of what our generation did to defend the values of faith, family, and freedom. Thank you. May God bless each one of you, and may God bless the United States of America.
Oh, here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States.
No masking and no social distancing either. They're all going to get sick of the Rona. Or from the Rona. I mean, we're all sick of the
Secretary
Rona.
Wolf, I present to you 5 candidates for naturalization representing 5 countries.
On behalf of everyone here today, I'd like to express my gratitude to you, Mr. President, for hosting this naturalization ceremony here at the White House. To our candidates,
Is this a violation of the Hatch Act?
the oath of allegiance, and welcome you as our fellow citizens. Candidates for naturalization, please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I hereby declare an oath that I absolutely and entirely renounce and abjure all allegiance and fidelity to any foreign prince, potentate, state or sovereignty, of whom or which I have heretofore been a subject or citizen, that I will support and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States of America,
Yeah.
against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that I will bear arms on behalf of the United States when required by law, that I will perform non-combatant service in the armed forces of the U.S. when required by law, that I will perform work of national importance under civilian direction when required by law, and that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion. So help me God. Congratulations, you're now citizens of the United States of America.
And as first things of citizens of the United States, you're going to get COVID.
On behalf of the Department of Homeland Security, it is my honor to call you my fellow Americans. Mr. President, I want to again commend you for your dedication to the rule of law and for restoring integrity to our immigration system. Thank you for hosting such a patriotic celebration here at the White House today.
Congratulations, that's fantastic. It's really great, thank you. And I want to thank Acting Secretary Wolf, doing a phenomenal job in so many ways. Today, America rejoices.
How is that not a violation of the Hatch Act?
Absolutely incredible new members into our great American family. You're now fellow citizens of the greatest nation.
Is it just because they're
on the face of
not?
God's earth? Congratulations.
They're not mentioning the convention. They're just airing this ceremony that they've
You followed the rules,
created
you obeyed the laws, you learned your history,
for the
embraced our
RNC
values,
in
and proved
particular.
yourselves to be
Like that's a
men and
really
women of the highest
that
integrity.
fine line, traveling that fine line
You
there.
went through a lot, and we appreciate you being here with us today. You've earned the most prized,
No chats in
treasured,
the
cherished,
chat about
and
that.
priceless possession anywhere in the world. It's called American citizenship. There is no higher honor and no greater privilege, and it's an honor for me to be your president. Thank you very much. At this time, I'd like to recognize the 5 new citizens who join us today.
As a
Robert
publicity stunt
Martin
for my
Ramirez
campaign.
Alcazar is from Bolivia and has been a lawful permanent resident of the United States since 2013. Robert? Hi, Robert. He and his wife are raising 3 beautiful children. In 2017, Robert achieved the dream of starting his own business, a construction company that now employs 5 workers. Robert says, I love this country. I want to respect the law. America has helped me so much in life. Robert, thank you very much for your devotion.
Thank you for the opportunities to the United States.
Well, thank you, and good luck with that company. Soon you'll have hundreds of employees, I think, right? Could happen. Could happen. It will. Rima Gideon is from Lebanon and is the proud mother of 3 children. Rima speaks English, Arabic, and French, and earned a degree in psychology. In other words, she can figure me out. She now works as a daycare teacher in Virginia. Rima says, I feel blessed to be a loyal citizen of the greatest country in the world, a country that has given me the opportunity of a lifetime to realize my potential and my dreams. Rima, congratulations. It's really great. Thank you. That's very good. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Sudha Sundari Narayan is a phenomenal success, born in India, came to the United States 13 years ago. Sudha is a talented software developer, and she and her husband are raising 2 beautiful, wonderful children, the apples of your life, right? Well, thank you very much, and congratulations. Fantastic job. Thank you. Mehmet Abdelzar Awalo Said is from Sudan, and that's a beautiful name, and has been a lawful permanent resident since 2012. She is the married mother of 3 beautiful children, earned a master's degree and PhD in animal nutrition from the University of Wyoming, great place, great state, and she is a trained veterinarian. She's also worked as a substitute teacher.
She's a trained veterinarian, which means she likes to eat vegetables.
2004. That's fantastic. Well, Divat, thank you very much, and congratulations. It's my honor to be with you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Salah Abdul Samad has been looking forward to this day since he arrived in the United States from Ghana in 2015. Salih speaks 5 languages and works the medical field. Salih says that the American citizenship means everything to me in my life. It cannot be measured or quantified. I have the chance to work hard and succeed in life, to know that I am in the safe country like America. That really is something, because I know they have my back. Salih, thank you very much. Congratulations. Fantastic job. Congratulations to everybody. With the rights and freedoms each of you now enjoys as citizens, there is no dream beyond your wildest reach, because Americans can do anything. Today you have also accepted the profound duties and responsibilities that come with American citizenship.
Although I would say that we should support the idea that maybe instead of having to be 35 years old, just say that you need to be 35.
Your undying loyalty to the American people, the American Constitution,
make it so it's
and the American way of life.
35 years a citizen,
the history and heritage
and that
of the
would
United
accomplish
States
very
are now
similar
yours
things.
to preserve and pass down to the next generation.
It could be called the Arnold Law. Yeah,
and our values are now yours to uphold and live
more
by.
bad impressions.
The rights so dear to every American, granted by us and granted by God, and enshrined in our glorious Bill of Rights, are now yours to support, protect, and defend. As citizens, you're now stewards of this magnificent nation, a family comprised of every race, color, religion, and creed. United by the bonds of love, we are one people, sharing one home, saluting one great American flag. Congratulations again to all of you. May God bless you, and may God bless our great country, America.
And now y'all can go vote and vote for Biden. Wonder how many of them will be voting for Biden. That would be amazing to find out. Oh, Lord.
Good evening, America. When I stood on this convention stage
Another
4 years
angry
ago,
Trump.
no one fully understood the historic change that was about to take place. We could all feel it. Something was happening. A movement was forming just below the surface.
Right around the bowel area. That bowel movement was forming.
DC were preparing to rise up. Our movement followed the pattern of so many that came before us. First, we were ignored. Then we were laughed at. Then they fought us. And then, together, we won. From that moment forward, America came first.
Just
America
barely.
started winning again. America became respected again. But with every movement, there's a counter-movement. In the view of the radical Democrats, America is the source of the world's problems.
Are those skinny jeans?
As a result, they believe the
or
only
skinny
path
pants?
forward is to erase history and forget the past. They want to destroy the monuments of our forefathers. They want to disrespect
Robert
our
E.
flag.
Lee is not a forefather of the
Stars and
United
Stripes
States.
that
Neither is
represent
Jefferson
patriotism
Davis,
and the
P.T.
American
G.
dream.
Beauregard, or
They want
anybody
to
else who's a
disrespect our
Confederate
national anthem
soldier.
by taking a knee while our armed forces lay down their lives every day to protect our freedom. They do not want the Pledge of Allegiance in our schools. Many of them don't want one nation under God. The Democrats want
The
to
original
defund
Pledge of Allegiance
and
did not
disrespect
contain the
our
words
law
"One
enforcement.
Nation under God." That was added during the
Democrats want
McCarthy
America where
era
your thoughts
because
and
they
opinions are
wanted
censored
to.
when
They
do
were
not
afraid of
align
the
with
Red
their own.
Scare and thought that belief
President
in
Reagan
God
said,
could
"Freedom is never
fight the
more
Red
than
Scare.
one generation away from extinction. It must be fought for, and it must be protected." This is the fight that we are in right now.
If you're
And it is a
conservative, you
fight
should
that
conserve the
only
original
my father can
pledge.
win. My father
One
ran
nation,
not because
indivisible.
he needed the job, but because he knew hard-working people across this great country were being left behind. The media mocked these patriots in the flyover states in which they lived. They ignored the Trump flags.
They're
They
currently
ignored the
flyover
millions of
states.
MAGA
Again,
banners
to make
and
that clear,
farms
they're
painted in
currently
red,
flyover states
white,
because
and blue.
there's no reason for anybody to go to
The
them
silent
because you
majority
know
and
where
no
they're
one
going to
voted
vote.
for them in either party. Their so-called leaders were bowing to China, bribing Iran, and spending more time
They're
worrying about
bribing
how
Iran. They were
received
giving
by the
Iran its
elites
own
in
money
Paris.
back. It's not
Then
a.
how
It's not a
Americans
bribe
will
if I
fight
give
for
you
the
back your
families
own
in
money.
Pittsburgh. Our family lost friends, but it only pushed us to fight harder. My father pledged to every American,
Did you really
in
have
every
friends?
city, state, and town, that he was going to make America great again. And so began the Great American Comeback.
And yet they're
All
still
three
saying "Make America Great
taxes were
Again." So what
slashed,
happened over the last 4
regulations were
years
cut,
that you didn't make it great
and
yet?
The economy soared to new heights, heights never seen before. Wages went through the roof. Unemployment reached the historic lows, especially for Black Americans, Hispanic Americans. and
Barack
women.
Obama cut it from like 16
Trade
to
deals were ripped
8.
up and renegotiated.
But, you know,
Lights were turned
let's
back
not look at the
on
facts.
in abandoned
Facts are
factories
inconvenient
across
to the
our
Trump
country.
administration. That's why they didn't do
Trillions of
enough
dollars were
testing for
repatriated back to the
COVID-19.
United States, which had been sitting in foreign lands for far too long. Once again, America became the envy of the world. And with that renewed strength came leverage. The president demanded that our allies pay their fair share for the defense of the Western world. My father rebuilt the mighty American military, adding new jets, aircraft carriers. He increased wages for our incredible men and women in uniform. He expanded our military defense budget to $721 billion per year. America was no longer weak in the eye of the enemy. The moment President Trump ordered special forces to kill some of the deadliest terrorists on the planet, the day the mighty Moab was dropped on insurgent camps, is the day America took a stance to never be defeated by the enemy. Al-Baghdadi, Soleimani, dead. Over and over, issue after issue, the economy, the wall, the military, trade deals, tax cuts, Supreme Court justices, VA hospitals, prescription drugs, school choice, right to try, moving the embassy to Jerusalem, peace in the Middle East. Never-ending wars
Moving
were
the embassy to
finally
Jerusalem does
ended.
nothing to help
Promises made
peace in the Middle East. It actually
and promises
hurt
for the
peace in the
first
Middle
time were
East. But,
kept.
you know, go on.
Most politicians spend their entire careers in Washington, D.C. and get absolutely nothing accomplished. For example, Joe Biden. Joe Biden is a politician who has been in government for 47 years. He's a career politician who's never signed the front of a check and does not know the slightest thing about the American worker or the American business, the engine which fuels the greatest economy the world has ever known. The same politician who's
what
been
is
a
up with
total
his
pushover
accent?
for
That's
communist China.
pronunciation's
And
very
someone who'd be a
weird.
giant
Where's
relief for terrorists.
It's not New
who
York.
spent years running, hiding, and being taken out by the most talented military known to man. Joe Biden has pledged to raise your taxes by $4 trillion.
My own
82%
personal
of
tax.
Americans
I'd
will
love
see
to
their
pay
taxes
$4
go
trillion in taxes. That would mean I've been making many trillions more.
Destruction and give amnesty and health care to all illegal immigrants. Biden has pledged to defund the police and take away your cherished
I
Second
think Biden
Amendment.
actually said that he was going to
My father,
increase
on the other
funding
hand,
for the
delivered
police,
largest tax
but
cuts in
defund the
American
police
history.
doesn't mean
Knows
eliminate
if
funding
you
for the
do
full
not have a
police. Just
border,
let's be
you do
clear.
not have a country, and will always support law enforcement and your right to keep and bear arms.
Joe
Every
Biden
day,
also
my father
supports
fights for the
that?
American people, the forgotten man
Wait, it's a
and
different
woman of this country. The ones who
It's a
embody
different
the American
sign
spirit,
for.
which is unlike
They've changed
anything
the
else in
signs up. I
world.
just realized that.
It built the New York City skyline. It built
And it's
the
back to
Hoover
saying
Dam.
"Make America Great Again," not "Keep America
Soon,
Great," so they can't keep
under my
straight on their
father's
branding
leadership, we will
again.
send Americans to Mars. The American spirit can be felt in
American.
the majesty of the Grand Canyon.
The Americans
the
are
shadows of
so
Mount Rushmore,
weird.
and the stillness of the air at Gettysburg. It can be seen in the
I don't think I've listened to him
wide-eyed
speak
wonder
before.
of every American
I'm
child
glad I
as
haven't
they take
listened to
their
him
first
speak
breath
before.
in the greatest country the world has ever known. It defeated fascism, it defeated communism, and
And then it elected a fascist!
defeat the empty, oppressive, and radical views of the extreme left. Ronald Reagan's quote ends with this simple warning. One day we could spend our sunset years telling our children what it was once like in the United States where men and women were free. Under President Trump, freedom will never
As
be
long as they're
enough.
white.
That's what a vote for Donald Trump represents. It's a vote for the American spirit, the American dream, and for the American flag. To the law enforcement officer who's being attacked, betrayed, and whose job they are trying to make extinct, my father will fight for you.
My father.
To all houses of worship and to all people of faith, stripped of our religious freedoms,
You're not.
and religious
You're.
liberties.
Are you a
My
man of
father
faith? Have
will
you been
fight
going
for
to
you.
church? Are you? Oh,
To the voiceless,
I'm sure.
shamed, censored, and canceled, my father will fight for you. To our farmers who work dawn
They
to dusk
just
to keep our
canceled
plates full, my father
somebody.
will fight for you.
They literally
To every
just
single mother
canceled
and father,
somebody.
To our veterans, our coal miners, and to the American worker, my father will fight for you. And to
The
every
Trump,
proud American who
the
believes
RNC
red,
and the Trump
white,
campaign
and blue,
pulled
my father will continue to fight for you.
a speaker tonight. Again, it
In
was.
closing, I'd like to speak directly to my father. I miss working alongside you every single day, but
Where
I'm
is it?
damn proud to be on the front lines of this fight. I'm proud of what you are doing for this country. I'm proud to show my children. what
Marianne
my grandfather's
Mendoza
fighting for. I'm proud to
tweeted
watch you
anti-Semitic
give
conspiracy
them hell.
theories, and they canceled
Never
her
stop.
speech
Continue to be
from being
unapologetic.
aired tonight.
Keep fighting for what is right. You
So
are
much
making
for being
America
against
strong
cancel
again.
culture.
You are making
I mean, she
America
should have been
safe again.
canceled, but still,
You are making
they are
America proud again.
hypocrites.
And yes, together with a forgotten man and woman who are finally forgotten no more, you are making
I'm glad I didn't take myself
America
up on my
great
suggestion
again.
that I should live
Dad,
drink with the live stream
let's make
because
Uncle Robert very proud this
holy crap, I'd be
Let's go get another
toasted
4
by
years.
now. That my
I love
kidneys would
you
be,
very
my
much.
liver would be shot.
God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.
Did his mother drink
We're going to
when
build
he
a
was in
future of
utero?
safety
Woo, we
and
just had lightning outside.
Americans of every race, color, religion.
So if you happen to lose the live stream, that's why. It's because, you know, small storms knock out my cable.
Our president has created such a surplus that when this pandemic hit, he was able to refund Americans without indebting us.
We're all better off when former inmates can receive and re-enter society as law-abiding, productive citizens. They now have a chance at more opportunities than they've ever had before.
To be incarcerated for 16 and a half years for hearsay. I get emotional thinking about it. It's a feeling that I can't describe.
When people say we're oppressed here in the United States, how?
Right now, this country, for me, is the last beacon of hope and opportunity. If America falls, the entire world falls.
Trump's pledge to the American workers definitely means a lot to me because I wouldn't be where I'm at today. I truly believe that my kids are going to look up to me one day. It's just tremendous what I could do, I guess.
The forgotten men and women will never be forgotten again.
You know, in Biden's America, there aren't opportunity zones. Here you have an administration that actually looks at how can government and private enterprise work together.
As we fight to deliver a better future
The
for
Democrats
all women
literally wanted to
and for all
create
Americans, we
additional
remember the
funding that
wonderful
would
victory
help the hardest hit communities because of COVID-19, and the Republicans have blocked them from doing so. But go on.
It struck our nation. Women had gained 4.3 million jobs, a record. The women's unemployment rate had plummeted to the lowest.
I'm so great for women, especially when I grab them by the hoo-ha.
Last year, over 70% of the new jobs went to women, and I will say we're coming back very strongly.
We have the most opportunity.
That's the American story, isn't it? That we have hope, that even though we're in dark days now, that the days ahead.
What hope do you have when Trump is bumbling the COVID-19 response? There's no hope. If you believe that there's hope whilst the virus continues to rampage across the nation and people continue to die. How many deaths have we had? Comparatively, 25% of the world's deaths with 5% of the 5% of the world's population.
Good evening. My name is Daniel Cameron. I'm 34 years old and the first African-American Attorney General in Kentucky history. It is an honor to be with you as a proud Republican and supporter of Donald J. Trump. I was raised in Kentucky, just a few miles from Abraham Lincoln's birthplace. Our first Republican president believed in compassion,
Abraham Lincoln would not be a Republican today.
And justice. Sadly, there are some who don't believe in this wisdom or in the better angels of our shared American history, as they tear down the statues of people like Ulysses S. Grant, Frederick Douglass, and even Mr. Lincoln himself. Lincoln said, "Any nation that does not honor its heroes will not long endure." And for Republicans, our heroes are those who propelled an imperfect nation ever forward, always striving to make life better for everyone. Even as anarchists mindlessly tear up American cities while attacking police and innocent bystanders, we Republicans do recognize those who work in good faith towards peace, justice, and equality. In fact,
who's working good faith,
General Dwight Eisenhower, a future Republican president, who said, "Democracy is a system that recognizes the equality of humans before the law." Whether you are the family of Breonna Taylor or David Dorn, these are the ideals that will heal our nation's wounds. Republicans will never turn a blind eye to unjust acts, but neither will we accept an all-out assault on Western civilization. My values were shaped by my faith and by my parents. I worked at their small coffee shop, meeting people from all walks of life. And I realized something. No matter who we are, everyone needs a cup of coffee. That lesson stuck with me because despite our differences, we all want the same things. For our children to have more opportunities than we did, to feel the dignity of work, and to believe that if you play by the rules, you can make a good life for yourself and your family. So the question is, will we choose the path that gives us the best chance to meet those universal desires? Or will we go backward to a time when people were treated like political commodities who can't be trusted to think for themselves? I think often about my ancestors who struggled for freedom. And as I think of those giants and their broad shoulders, I also think about Joe Biden, who says, "If you aren't voting for me, you ain't black," who argued that Republicans would put us back in chains, who says there is no diversity of thought in the black community.
It literally can't. I mean, they can put you in chains if they arrest you, and they continue to fund the private prison complex, industrial complex.
And you can't tell me how to vote because of the color of my skin. Joe Biden is a backward.
The vast majority of black people vote for Democrats, though, because they understand that when Republicans specifically target black voters, specifically to try and keep them from voting, not with voter IDs, but with other provisions in these so-called voter ID laws,
and throw away the lives of countless unborn children,
and make them not.
And he is captive to the radical left, a movement committed to cancel culture and the destruction.
Y'all just canceled somebody tonight. Stop talking about cancel culture when you cancel somebody.
And if you fail to conform while exercising your God-given right to speak and think freely, they will cut you down. The politics of identity, cancellation, and mob rule are not acceptable to me. Republicans trust you to think
I
for
forgot
yourself
that about that.
and to pursue
The
your
Republican
American dream, however you
Attorney
see fit.
General from Florida.
Mr. Lincoln said
She
the
took a bribe to
dogmas
not
of the
prosecute
quiet
Trump's
past are
fraudulent
inadequate to the
university.
stormy present.
I forgot
The
about
occasion
that.
is piled high with difficulty, and we must rise to the occasion. I believe Donald Trump can meet Lincoln's mandate, even as Joe Biden remains trapped by his own failed record and by the radicals who dominate his party.
There's
Let's
so much
be honest.
crap.
No one is excited.
Thank you, Rob
about Joe
Reiner,
Biden.
for
And so I ask you
that.
to judge the record. On criminal justice reform, Joe Biden couldn't do it, but President Trump did. On the economy, Joe Biden couldn't do it, but President Trump did build an economy that worked for everyone, especially minorities, and he will do it again. And on immigration, Joe Biden promises more to illegal immigrants than he does to you. But President Trump believes his highest duty is to the American worker. The choice is clear. Let me close with something my mom told me. This country's many faces comprise a family, not separate parts to be divided against each other. And like any family, we care for one another. We grieve together. We share our burdens and our struggles, and we celebrate our successes. And though we fuss and fight, we are not enemies. We are Americans, united by a collective faith in our Constitution and laws and the fundamental fairness they represent. We are defenders of life.
Twitter
and of
user Holly
individual
Bryden
liberty.
asked me, why do you hate
And we
immigrants,
carry
Dan?
the
When I
mantle
tweeted
of
out, whoa,
Eisenhower and
how
of
is this
Reagan
naturalization
to be
ceremony
a
taking
force
place
for
during the
good
RNC,
in
not a
this
violation of the Hatch
and
Act?
one that must
And she goes, why do you hate immigrants,
be
Dan?
recognized.
This is the lack
That's
of
my Republican
logic
Party,
that these
the
Republicans,
party
these
of Lincoln,
conservatives have.
that believes America is an indispensable nation, an evergreen tree, standing tall in a turbulent world. And that's why I am voting for Donald Trump for president. Thank you.
I'm sorry.
And God bless.
Hi, I'm Mike Pompeo.
Oof.
I'm speaking to you from beautiful Jerusalem, looking out over the old city. I have a big
There are
job.
apparently lots of rules
Susan's
he's
husband
violating
and
right
Nick's
now.
dad. Susan and Nick are more safe, and their freedom's more secure, because President Trump has put his America First vision into action.
America First is a racist
It may not have made
idea.
it
Look
popular
up
in
its
every foreign
history.
capital, but it's worked. President Trump understands what my great fellow Kansan President Eisenhower said. For all that we cherish and justly desire for ourselves or for our children, the securing of peace is the first requisite. Indeed, the primary constitutional function of the national government is ensuring that your family and mine are safe and enjoy the freedom to live, to work, to learn, and to worship as they choose. Delivering on this duty to keep us safe and our freedoms intact, this president has led bold initiatives in nearly every corner of the world. In China, he's pulled back the curtain on the predatory aggression of the Chinese Communist Party. The president has held China accountable for covering up the China virus and allowing it to spread death and economic destruction in America and around the world. And he will not rest until justice is done. He has ensured that the Chinese Communist Party spies posing as diplomats in America are jailed or sent back to China. And he has ended the ridiculously unfair trade arrangement with China that punched a hole in our economy. Those jobs are coming back home. In North Korea, the president lowered the temperature and against all odds got the North Korean leadership to the table. No nuclear tests, no long-range missile tests, and Americans held captive in North Korea came home to their families, as did the precious remains of scores of heroes who fought in Korea. Today, because of President Trump, NATO is stronger, Ukraine has defensive weapon systems, and America left a harmful treaty so our nation can now build missiles to deter Russian aggression. And in the Middle East, when Iran threatened, the president approved a strike that killed the Iranian terrorist Qasem Soleimani. This is the man most responsible for the murder and maiming of hundreds of American soldiers and thousands of Christians across the Middle East. And you'll recall, too, that when the president took office, Radical Islamic terrorists had beheaded Americans, and ISIS controlled a territory in the size of Great Britain. Today, because of the president's determination and leadership, the ISIS caliphate is wiped out. It's gone.
The idea that Hillary Clinton would not have done that
is dead.
You know,
and our brave soldiers, they're on their way home.
Silly.
The president exited the U.S. from the disastrous nuclear deal with Iran and squeezed the Ayatollah, Hezbollah, and Hamas. The president, too, moved the U.S. embassy to this very city of God, Jerusalem, the rightful capital of the Jewish homeland. And just 2 weeks ago, the president brokered a historic peace deal between Israel and the United Arab Emirates. This is a deal that our grandchildren will read about in their history books. You know, as a soldier, I saw firsthand people desperate to flee to freedom. The way each of us can best ensure our freedoms is by electing leaders who don't just talk, but who deliver. An American hostage.
So you need an
imprisoned in Turkey
OBGYN?
for 2 years, Pastor Andrew Brunson, said upon his release that he survived his ordeal with these words of Scripture: be faithful, endure, and finish well. If we stay the course, we will. May God richly bless you, and may God bless our great nation, the United States of America.
What's going on with this one? Is this going to be Melania's speech with no social distancing and no masks? And no trees? They are all going to get the COVID. They are all going to get the coronavirus.
It is my great honor to present First Lady.
Let me pull up the transcript of Michelle Obama's script.
The Best Initiative. She is courageous. She's taking on a tough topic.
She married an internet bully and is against internet bullying. She continues to be married to an internet bully. Apparently her work needs to start at home.
And do all they can to be best in everything they do.
This is her showcasing what she brings to the position of First Lady.
She is smart, independent, and I think people have underestimated her big time.
First Lady
I think she has Stockholm syndrome.
Gracious, empathetic, and showed true compassion.
First Lady Melania Trump stepping out onto the world stage.
Her Be-Based campaign is now going international.
She has the advantage of speaking several languages. She can be a diplomat for our country.
The sun was shining. She was greeted by children. This, of course, is her continuing to work on her Be Best campaign by shining a spotlight on successful programs that teach children tools and skills.
She represents our country enormous warmth and elegance and grace.
Throughout history, women have made lasting impacts.
You know, again, I'm not one to shame about what one's done with their lives, but the fact that conservatives have no problem with the fact that she's posed nude, but yet criticized Michelle Obama's bare arms,
must continue using our great tool of empowerment.
It's more hypocrisy.
It was a very important moment for Melania Trump. This was a really prominent week for her.
The iconic White House Rose Garden has been renovated for the first time in 60 years.
When the history books are written, there should be a special chapter
And
reserved
it's
for our
disgusting
First Lady.
that she did
She's
that.
an incredible First Lady.
An amazing mother. An incredible woman. First Lady Melania Trump.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the First Lady of the United States, Mrs. Melania Trump.
I mean, I will give her kudos if she specifically starts off by saying, "Good evening, everyone. It's a hard time and everyone's feeling it in different ways." If she does that and then say, "I'm sorry, Michelle, that's your speech." If she were to do that, I would give her props for doing that specifically to get the laugh. I mean, that I would give her props for that. I don't expect that to happen, but if that happens, I will crack up. Will she do it or will she not do it?
Good evening. It seems like just yesterday that we were at our first convention where my husband accepted the Republican nomination and then became our 45th President of the United States. Yet the energy and enthusiasm for who should lead this nation, it is real today as it was 4 years ago. I know I speak for my husband and the entire family when I say we have not forgotten the incredible people who were willing to take a chance on the businessmen who had never worked in politics. We know it was you who elected him to be Commander-in-Chief, and we know it is you who will carry us through again. We were humbled by the incredible support then, and we are still grateful today. I want to acknowledge the fact that since March, our lives have changed drastically. The invisible enemy, COVID-19, swept across our beautiful country and impacted all of us. My deepest sympathy goes out to everyone who has lost a loved one.
Unnecessarily, because this president has not reacted in the way that it should.
Suffering. I know many people are anxious and some feel helpless. I want you to know you're not alone. My husband's administration will not stop fighting until there is an effective treatment or vaccine
I think that's all I know from that song.
To everyone. Donald will not rest until he has done all he can to take care of everyone.
All he can is not enough. Unfortunately, we found that out.
I want to extend my gratitude to all of the healthcare professionals, frontline workers and teachers who stepped up in these difficult times. Despite the risk to yourselves and your own families, you put our country first, and my husband and I are grateful. I have been moved by the way Americans have come together in such an unfamiliar and often frightening situation. It is in times like this that we will look back and tell our grandchildren that through kindness and compassion, strength and determination, we were able to restore the promise of our future. Businesses stepped up and volunteers stepped in. People were eager to share ideas, resources, and support of all kinds with neighbors and strangers alike. It has been inspiring to see what the people of our great nation will do for one another, especially when we are at our most fragile. Speaking of strength and determination, we recently celebrated the 100-year anniversary of the passage of the 19th Amendment. Yesterday, on the North Lawn of the White House, we unveiled an exhibit dedicated to women's suffrage. The exhibit called on children from across the country to send art honoring the meaning of this important time in women's history. When I was judging the entries, I reflected on the impact of women's voices in our nation's story, and how proud I will be to cast my vote again for Donald this November. We must make sure that women are heard and that the American dream continues to thrive. Growing up as a young child in Slovenia, which was under communist rule at the time, I always heard about an amazing place called America, a land that stood for freedom and opportunity. As I grew older, it became my goal to move to the United States and follow my dream of working in the fashion industry. My parents worked very hard to ensure our family could not only live and prosper in America, but also contribute to a nation that allows for people to arrive with a dream and make it reality. I want to take the moment to thank my mother and father for all they have done for our family. It is because of you that I'm standing here today. I arrived in the United States
No
when I
masks.
was 26
None.
years old. Living
And not
and
6 feet
working
apart
in the land of
neither.
opportunity was a
Except for
dream
maybe that
come
one
true.
center aisle.
But I wanted more. I wanted to be a citizen. After 10 years of paperwork and patience, I studied for the test in 2006 and became an American citizen. It is still one of the proudest moments in my life because with hard work and determination, I was able to achieve my own American dream. As an immigrant and a very independent woman, I understand what a privilege it is to live here and to enjoy the freedoms and opportunities that we have. As First Lady, I have been fortunate to see the American dream come true over and over again.
Well, people dying from
I have met
COVID-19?
many
Not
inspiring
necessarily.
women, children, parents, and families who have overcome life-changing issues that include addiction, homelessness, family members who are ill or have passed away, abuse of all kinds, and many other challenges that would make most people give up. The past 3.5 years have been unforgettable. There are no words to describe how honored, humbled, and fortunate I am to serve our nation as your First Lady. After many of the experiences I've had, I don't know if I can fully explain how many people I take home with me in my heart each day. From brave soldiers who give up so much so that we can be free, to children of all circumstances who I have met around the world. Thank you for inspiring me. It is my greatest honor to serve you. When I speak to members of the military, despite sacrificing time with their families, experience the fear of war or suffering loss, they have no regrets about serving our country. The same goes for their families and the families of first responders who often watch their loved ones walk out the door, not sure if or when they will come home. When I speak to families who have lost someone, the pain mixed with pride I hear in their voices is something I think about often. So thank you to all who serve our country in the military and as first responders. And thank you to the families who wait for them. You are our heroes in your own right. I have also been moved by the many children and families I've spent time with at hospitals, schools, and other locations around the world. Children who are dealing with pain or illness that would break even the strongest adult. Parents who are grateful to wake up every day and see that their child is still alive. These families are a testament to what faith and medicine, strength and science can do. On my first international trip as First Lady, my husband and I visited places of great significance to the three major religions: Islam, Christianity, and Judaism. One special memory from that trip
There are other
was
religions,
of
you
a
know,
young boy I had privilege of
Hinduism.
visiting while at Bambino Gesù Hospital in Rome, Italy. While there, I read the little boy a story and learned that he and his family had been waiting for a heart for a very long time, and he had a grim prognosis. His situation brought my staff and me to tears, and we spoke of a little else as we flew to Belgium for the next part of our trip. Upon landing just a few hours later, we learned that a heart had been donated and would be going to the little one. I think about him often, along with so many amazing and strong young patients across our own country. More profound and sadly unavoidable examples of our country's strength and character have occurred in the communities that have been impacted by natural disasters. Hurricanes, tornadoes, and flooding may show the ugly side of Mother Nature, but in their aftermath, they can show us a beautiful side of humanity. My husband
Forget the
and
people
I
that die
visited
from
many
it. Just look at the beautiful
that
part
have been
afterwards.
affected by natural disaster, and we are deeply moved by the strength of the people who have lost everything and the kindness of neighbors and communities. The common thread in all of these challenging situations is the unwavering resolve to help one another.
All those people are going to get
I recognize the
COVID.
stories I just told about people who survive extraordinary circumstances. But Donald and I are also inspired by the millions of Americans who wake up each day with a simple yet courageous goal of providing for their families and keeping them safe. You are the backbone of this country. You are the people who continue to make the United States of America what it is, and who have the incredible responsibility of preparing our future generations to leave everything even better than they found it. Just as you are fighting for your families, my husband, our family, and the people in this administration are here fighting for you.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
No matter the amount of negative or false media headlines or attacks from the other side, Donald Trump has not and will not lose focus on you. He loves this country, and he knows how to get things done. As you have learned over the past 5 years, he's not a traditional politician. He doesn't just speak
He's
words.
worse.
He demands action, and he gets results. The future
Except
of
on
our
COVID-19.
country has always been very important to him, and it is something that I have always admired. In fact, it is to help ensure a better future for our next generation that I launched Be Best, my initiative to help children achieve their fullest potential. Be Best has one simple goal: teaching youth about the importance of their well-being, both mentally and physically. This also includes understanding
Wish you
online
could
safety
have your husband be
and
best.
the dangers of opioid and drug abuse.
Again with the
To Be Best,
opioids.
my
Again, there are
office and I
people
have
who
been
are
able
being
to
hurt
highlight
with
people,
this broad
programs,
action
and
being taken.
organizations that are doing extraordinary things in our country and around the world. I continue to believe that by shining a light on these positive examples, others across the country and globe will become inspired to do their part for our next generation. Helping children is not a political goal. It is our moral imperative. When I think back to a defining moment of Be Best, my mind goes to a trip I took to Africa. On that vast and beautiful continent, I was able to visit the countries of Ghana, Malawi, Kenya, and Egypt. One of those visits, in particular, had a profound impact on me. Ghana, on the coast of West Africa, was the first stop on my trip, and I experienced firsthand its warm people and their traditions. While there, I visited the Cape Coast Castle and learned more about the beginning of a cruel and often deadly journey in the era of the slave trade. I was horrified when I listened to the guide tell me so many inhumane stories, and I gained new perspectives. It is time in our history we must never forget, so that we can ensure that it never happens again. Like all of you, I have reflected on the racial unrest in our country.
Mm-hmm.
It is a harsh reality that we are not proud of parts of our history. I encourage
Parts of
people
our history,
to
including
focus
this
on
year.
our future while still learning from our past.
We have not learned from
We
our
must
past.
remember that today we are all one community comprised of many races, religions, and ethnicities. Our diverse and storied
And black
history
people are still
is what
3.5 times
makes
more
our
likely to be
country
shot
strong.
by police
And
when they're
yet,
unarmed
we still
as
have
compared
so
to a
much
white
learn
person.
from one another. With that in mind, I like to call on the citizens of this country to take a moment, pause, and look at things from all perspectives. I urge people to come together in a civil manner so we can work and live up to our standard American ideals. I also ask people to stop the violence and looting being done in the name of justice.
Some of them are
And never
doing it
make
who are
assumptions
conservatives who are
based
trying
on
to
the
hurt
color
the
of a
Black
person's
Lives Matter individuals, like the person
Instead
who
of
burned down the police station and broke the
things
window.
down- tearing things down, let's reflect on our mistakes.
Dr. Martin Luther King also said
Be
the right is
proud
the voice of the
our
unheard.
evolution.
Maybe we should stop
And
having
look
police officers kill unarmed people,
way
and then we can
forward.
worry about property.
Every day, let us remember that we are one nation under God, and we need to cherish one another. My husband's administration has worked to try and effect change when it comes to issues around race and religion in this country. He is the first president to address a special session of the United Nations General Assembly to call upon countries across the world to end religious persecution and honor the right of every person to worship as they choose. He has made substantial investments in our historically black colleges and universities. This president also continues to fight for school choice, giving parents more options to help their children flourish.
It's not a
My husband
choice.
knows
They
how
have
to
a
make
lottery.
big change. From the day that I met him, he has only wanted to make this country the best it can be. For many years, I watched him grow concerned and frustrated, and I'm so proud to see the many things he has done in such a short time. America is in his heart. So while at times we only see the worst of people and politics on the evening news, let's remember how we come together in the most difficult times.
I would like to see us coming together, especially about
And while
COVID-19
debate rage on
and
about
racial
issues
injustice,
of
but we're
race,
not.
Let's focus on the strides.
Because y'all
we have
last
made
convention
to
were,
work
oh,
together
all lives
for a
matter,
better
all lives
tomorrow
matter,
for
all
everyone.
night long.
Our administration has also devoted historic resources and produced life-saving results by raising awareness around opioid addiction and drug abuse, especially for
You are
children.
hurting people with
When
the
so
opioid
often
addiction
the
thing who
headlines
can't take
are
other
filled with
pain
gossip,
pills.
I want to
I
take
will
this
keep
moment
saying
to
that over and
encourage
over
the
again while
media
you're harping on
to
that.
focus even more on the nation's drug crisis. This disease is one that affects everybody. It pays no attention to race, age, or socioeconomic status. Addiction has touched every part of our society in some way. And now, more than ever, we have programs and medicine to combat it. We just need to talk about it openly. And you, the media, have the platforms to make that happen. To the media industry and as a country, I ask that we all commit to helping in our fights against drug addiction by talking about it even more. Especially as we battle the COVID pandemic, we need to remember that suicides are on the rise as people who are struggling with loneliness and addiction feel they have nowhere to turn. Parents, please talk to your children. Teachers and caregivers, pay attention to signs of addiction. Lawmakers, pass legislation that allows those who ask for help to do so safely and without fear, and to provide resources for organizations that help people impacted by addiction. When the stigma is removed, people will no longer be ashamed to ask for help, and lives will be saved. And if
I can
you're
agree with that.
struggling with addiction,
Stop the
there is
stigma
no
of being an
shame
addict to allow
in your
people to come
illness.
forward. Look, I will
Please
say it when I
seek
agree
help.
with people.
You're worth it.
I agree with that.
In my next 4 years as First Lady, I will continue to build upon Be Best and work with individual states to pass legislation to take care of our most vulnerable. I plan to continue the work I have started with children in foster care, as well as the minority communities and tribal nations. I want to ensure children are being protected and communities have the resources needed to combat drug addiction and child neglect or abuse. Like my husband and the administration, I will continue to encourage education that supports a child's individual needs. It is vital that children are given the building blocks to succeed. I also look forward to continue my work to restore the People's House, which is a lasting symbol of pride for our nation. I believe this iconic home needs to be cared for and preserved so it can be enjoyed by the people of this country and visitors from around the world for years to come. I'm passionate about this beautiful house, the grounds, and all they represent. And now, I have a special message for the mothers of this country. This modern world is moving so fast, and our children face challenges that seem to change every few months. Just like me, I know many of you watch how mean and manipulative social media can be. And just like me, I'm sure many of you are looking for answers how to talk to your children about the downside of technology and their relationships with their peers. Like every parent in this country, I feel there are so many lessons to teach our son and responsibilities as his mother, but there are just not enough hours in the day to do it all. I remind myself that I'm more fortunate than most and still have days that I look for wisdom and strength to do the very best I can for him. To mothers and parents everywhere, you are warriors. In my husband, you have a president who will not stop fighting for you and your families.
Well, he will. He'll stop fighting as soon as he loses in November. That's exactly when
media and opposition, he will not give up. In fact, if you tell him he cannot
exactly when he will
down,
stop fighting.
He just works harder. Donald is a husband who supports me in all that I do. He has built an administration with an unprecedented number of women.
I wish we would be
in leadership
unprecedented.
roles, and has fostered an environment where the American people are always the priority. He welcomes different points of view and encourages thinking outside of the box. I know I speak for my husband and the family when I say we are so grateful that you have trusted him to be your president, and we will be honored to serve this incredible country for 4 more years. As you have heard this evening, I don't want to use this precious time attacking the other side, because as we saw last week, That kind of talk only serves to divide the country further. I'm here because we need my husband to be our president and commander-in-chief for 4 more years. He's what is best for our country. We all know Donald Trump makes no secrets about how he feels about things.
He doesn't kid. That's what he
Total
said.
honesty
He said he
is
doesn't
what
kid.
we as citizens deserve from our president. Whether you like it or not, you always know what he's thinking. And that
Well,
is
thinking
because
is a
he's an authentic
stretch.
person who loves this country and its people and wants
some
to
of them,
continue to make
the
it
rich
better.
ones.
Donald wants to keep your family safe.
Does
He
he
wants
now?
to help your family succeed. He wants nothing more than for this country to prosper, and he doesn't waste time playing politics. Almost 4 years ago, we went into Election Day completely underestimated. Despite what is being said again this year, I know, just as you do, that Americans will go to the polls and vote on the behalf of their families, our economy, our national security, and our children's future. To vote for those ideals is not a partisan vote. It is a common sense vote, because those are goals and hopes that we all believe in. I believe that we need my husband's leadership now more than ever in order to bring us back once again to the greatest economy and the strongest country ever known. God bless you all, your families, and God bless the United States of America.
Did we sneeze? Is he really not going to talk and just let it be her talking? That would be shocking. I'm surprised that he just let her talk and didn't have to throw in his words in otherwise. He probably was told to not do it because it would make it look bad. So, you know. Or maybe he's going to come back and be like, I have one more thing to say. Look at all that COVID that's being transmitted right there. Shaking hands with each other. Oh, there's Kellyanne Conway. This is her last appearance. Maybe tomorrow, I think, is her last appearance. Before she quits, before she resigns from her position. So we're just going to have the shot of people walking around sharing COVID-19. Oh, there's one mask. Look at that. The person in one mask is helping literally nobody. Because everyone else is spreading around, which means that person with the mask is likely to catch it. Because that's what masks do. Masks don't protect you, the wearer. They protect everyone else. So if that one person had COVID, he may be helping the rest of them not get it. But holy God, look at all those people talking, not being socially distant. This is just a example of not being socially distant. Holy crap. Look at this lack of social distancing and no masks in the White House. It's going to be a spreader event. Are we just going to sit here just watching this? Is that the other thing left? I mean, it is 10:10, so they did go long. Oh, there's a second mask. Look at that. It's all the corona happening in that spot. Are we just watching these people talk? Is that it? Is there nothing more? I mean, I'll stop the live stream if this is nothing more. But, I mean, you're just watching COVID thrive as we sit here and watch this. We're just watching COVID-19 just thrive. And, like, as he's talking and exhaling, though, if he has COVID, that guy in the black suit talking with the sea green tie, whatever you want to call it, those other 4 people might have COVID-19. That Kellyanne, there's 2 masks. 2 more masks. There's a 3rd mask. Look at that. There's 3. Are there more masks than minorities? It is a 4 masks. Ooh, you got 4 masks now. Those 3 people over there. Which one of those 3 people in the left-hand corner, right there, right here, has COVID-19? See, where else we got? We got this little group of people. I think we've already seen her with a mask, I believe. Shaking hands. That's a good way to prevent the spread of COVID-19. Shaking hands. There's another mask. 6, 7, 8. Wow. Yeah, we might even get to double digits. 9, 10. We got to double digits on masks of people. But these are all people like entering the area, I think. I don't think they were there at the beginning. These might be like the White House staffers who couldn't be a part of it because of the Hatch Act. And I don't understand how they violated the how they didn't violate the Hatch Act with the naturalization ceremony. I mean, Trump is exempt, but Wolf isn't. So there's a nice way to spread. Leaning in to whisper something. That's a nice way to spread the COVID. Right there. This guy is no, it's not. It's just a name tag. I thought his mask was dangling. It's Kellyanne Conway speaking with another 2 individuals, and then a 3rd person coming in. Oh, they're leaning in to talk. Look at that. That's a good way to spread coronavirus right there. All that nice leaning in. This is just, you're just watching COVID-19 in action right here. I mean, there's no way to, did everybody here all get the rapid test before they were allowed to come in? And maybe like have a double check on the rapid test just in case? Maybe they got 2 rapid tests. Why are we sitting here watching that? Why am I sitting here watching this? Is it just look, oh, he has a mask. Well, there's a chin masker, and there's a somebody holding a mask with a hand and 1 ear. That's effective. That's an effective way to fight the COVID-19 virus. Just by holding your mask with 1 hand and not having it cover your face. And the other person with the chin. Wow, these people are just amazing in their ways of putting your arms around each other. I'm going to record part of this as well. I mean, I could download the whole thing. Well, people are hugging and they're holding, they were about to hold hands maybe. But they're all having, I mean, there's these 2 people right here might very well be maybe they're a couple, I don't know. Oh, they stopped it now. Okay, so we can stop that recording. I guess the Republican convention is now over for the night 2. Maybe the COVID got to the camera guy, and that's why it stopped. So, here we go. Here is, we can make this a little bigger, I suppose, for the end of it. Again, so if I would have made this into a drinking game, if I would have made this into, take a shot every time they lied, I'd be dead right by now, because we would have been, I would have been drunk like within the first half hour, maybe hour, and I'd be passed out right now. You'd just be looking at the top of my head, all because I'd be sitting here passed out drunk because of all of the lies being told. Plus, there's lies being told about me about Twitter, because apparently my condemnation, my thought that maybe the naturalization ceremony would somehow be a violation of the Hatch Act, that was somehow me being xenophobic and the hating of immigrants. Because, those people clearly weren't watching the live stream. I'm pretty sure that I said welcome to the country, and I do like immigrants. I hope more of those immigrants that were in there, I hope they vote for Biden. I hope they understand the problems with this president. It's up to them, and it's their right to make that distinction. The only thing that they're prohibited from doing at this point on is running for president, because that's what the Constitution says. And I specifically said during the live stream that maybe we should change that restriction and allow it to be 35 years a citizen versus 35 years old and a natural-born citizen. I would have no problem with that. I think it's a antiquated thing that is just there because it's in the Constitution. I don't think it could have been. I think it could have been written or done better. Anyway, so have a couple of ideas mulling around in my head for Fat Man Rants. Maybe if I think of one fully, I will go ahead and do it tonight. But this night too, again, sweep the leg, no mercy. That is going to be my my theme, for, I guess, for the rest of the Republican convention. They get no mercy on my behalf. Surprisingly enough, the Republicans blocked an anti-Semitic person who's retweeted many anti-Semitic things from speaking at the convention tonight. That person was supposed to be speaking out against immigration and people who are here who are undocumented individuals, because I think her son was tragically killed by somebody who was drunk driving, who just so happened to be an undocumented person here within our borders. And I don't believe that, it's very, they do these things specifically because it's like, are you really going to criticize the person who is grieving the loss of her son? Obviously you should grieve the loss of your son. Obviously. You're going to. And you can't necessarily expect people who are grieving the loss of their sons to specifically, maybe be in the right frame of mind. I don't know if I would be in the right frame of mind if that happened to my child, but it's a logical inconsistency there that says, well, the reason that he was run over is because we have these immigration policies. I mean, it's just not logical. Anyway, so thank you for everybody who watched. We had 14, playbacks today. At one point we had up to 6 people. So if you're watching this late, welcome. Thank you. If you're still watching, again, thank you for watching. I appreciate it. There's all many different ways you can follow me on social media. Tomorrow night is the podcast, but again, it's going to be after the live stream. What I'll do is I'll do a live reaction with the live stream, and then do the podcast, blogtalkradio.com/liberaldan. The Anchor minicast is anchor.fm/liberaldan. Support the show, patreon.com/liberaldan, facebook.com/liberaldan, and you have Liberal Dan Radio on TikTok, Twitter, and of course subscribing here on the YouTube channel. Again, please, if you're still watching, subscribe to the channel, like the video, share it to your friends, and remember, again, as always, unlike the people in the convention that were, during the Melania speech, unlike those people, stay socially distant, mask up, stay safe, protect yourself from the COVID-19. Thank you very much, and